and welcome to Phoenix Esports. We've got a crazy match going on for you tonight, but first things first, I want to introduce myself. I'm Lucan. Wherever he is in the ethereal realm of this broadcast space, there is T.I. Romeo, and we are going to be talking about the draft fairly soon here for these two teams. For one, I don't like sand. That's not a statement by me. That's the team name, just to confirm. Just so we're all aware here. We're all on the same page. And then the other team, over on the other corner, we've got these Spartan shields. The CWRU. I don't know what that stands for. Some sort of something. I can't make up a joke that quick on the fly. That being said, though, let's see what we have going into the draft coming from these two teams. I'm not too sure what these guys are going to be up to, but Romeo, you might have an inkling.
Right now, Spartan Shields is sitting at the top of the table, tied with one of the last three teams left who are undefeated. It's them, their rivals Never Lucky, and of course, Final Bastion, who are all undefeated at the moment. And I Don't Like Sands is currently fighting for a spot into the playoff bracket, sitting at a record of, I believe, 2-5. Yes. So
2-5. Okay.
They're looking to
undefeated in 2-5. It sounds like there's a little bit of a discrepancy in the actual match record here. What do you think that means for this upcoming match here right now?
I mean, if you're Spartan Shields, you got the momentum on your side, you got the confidence on your side, and if you're I Don't Like Sands, an upset win here could be massive in confirming your spot inside of the playoff brackets and really giving you a chance to compete for one of the top 4 seeds. Of course, to even get there, there are 3 teams that are undefeated and 1 team that's only lost a single game, which is Clown Gaming. So to even try to get to the top half of the bracket is a big spectacle to achieve. But right now, we're getting right into the draft.
They're firing off those bands like crazy right now. Rise, Maokai taken away from I Don't Like Sand. Doesn't seem like they don't just like sand. They do not like trees, blue men, or pirates. Spartan Shields, though, does definitely say that they're not a big fan of Shaman, Gems men, and Blobby men. So as we see that all taken out, the downright wild slam down coming from a first pick Kassadin. Honestly, I'm not a big fan of it. It's usually a counter pick, but it can be strong.
What I find really, really interesting with the first pick Kassadin is, first off, how ballsy it is to go off the bat. But second, you've already kind of isolated some sort of playstyle from I Don't Like Sands. You got a very, very hard scaling mid laner, which makes it... It's going to make it kind of difficult on their jungler in the early game. But of course, if that casting can hit level 16, they definitely have a fighting way against Spartan Shields.
100%. The other thing that I think they're really saying is that Kassadin is very much like the Darth Vader of League of Legends in terms of the aesthetic and the way that he breathes. So I really do think that they're really going for that Anakin aesthetic. And you know what? If they don't like sand and they want to bring out the Vader first pick, you know what? By all means. It is matched up, though, against a Misfortune and a Nocturne, which honestly, in my opinion, I don't like seeing the Nocturne jungle pick picked up against into this Kassadin. It's usually something that you're gonna pick up if you have something to scale back on and you want to throw, I guess, throw down after level 6. But Kassadin also wants to do that, so it's a weird sort of timing thing here. Rakan being matched up over on the other side, not too sure what they're going to be matching it with in the bot lane, but there is a ton of different options. And if we really want to talk about bot lane, I would want to talk about where the meta's at with it right now, because it's kind of going crazy all over the place. Caitlyn picked up, though.
Of course, you got Caitlyn, you got Varus, you got Sivir. Those are the main 3 I've been seeing across. Ezreal's been a strong pickup ever since the IE and Navori's second item have come into play. Bot lane's been running wild, but what I find really interesting...
It really has.
What I find interesting right now from Spartan Shields, though, is they have 2 counter pick options. Of course, they can pick up support and they can pick up mid. But yeah, I agree. The Nocturne pick on jungle is very interesting, considering they blinded ADC and then still opted to blind their jungle.
And the Thresh matched over, as we're talking about these ADC changes. The other thing is that while the ADCs have changed, the supports have become ADCs now, or vice versa. The ADCs are becoming supports. We're not seeing that this game, but it is something to keep watch of, as this is a series. So you never really know what's going to be done from there. That all being packed up together, though, in the first round of bans, we're getting into the second portion here, where Vi is taken away from I Don't Like Sand, and Kennen is looking like it's the hovered match to that. We'll see what happens next here. What's your thoughts, Romeo?
I think Vi's a solid ban. She's been running wild across both Phoenix Esports and League of Legends as a whole. Like, her and Wukong are probably the best AD junglers left in the game that isn't like an AP tank. Like, honestly, a lot of the good junglers have been banned away between these last 10 or last 9 bans. So I think
It's very
taking
true,
out the
yeah.
buy is pretty strong. I'm interested to see what Sand's going to go for.
Yeah, like the more that you get clinched here and taken away, the more it kind of limits your options on as to what you're going to be getting. But at the same time, it's like, what do they want to also take away over on like Sand's case? And they are finally going to ban away a Sand champ? Nope, they're banning Victor. Okay, you know what? You had the one chance to go and pick something from Shurima, and they banned literally none of them. I think they're kind of contrarian to what their name is here, and that's a little disappointing. That is my statement on all of this. As I'm just waiting to see what Spartan Shields is going to answer with.
Well, hear me out. Maybe they want them to pick a Shuriman so that they can kill it.
Oh,
You know?
maybe they're just bullies.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay,
What I'm
that
surprised they
does
haven't
make
seen-
sense. They're waiting for the opportunity because they need to really show how much they don't like sand. Like, it's not like they want to get rid of this, like the sand portion. They want to show just how much. We're going to follow that up by saying that Camilla's picked up. There's definitely a really strong pick potential over on to Spartan Shields right now. I do think that they're lacking a decent way to scale to at least try to match the Kassadin, which is really weird to me because Kassadin was picked up first. You could have definitely just countered that lane. Set being the call forward here into the Camille generally is considered a bit of a counter matchup, if I'm not mistaken. And now they've got to round out the rest of the comp with the last pick jungle here, and they have a lot of options for something that can counter Nocturne, who's kind of outside of the meta right now. You just need something that can gank a lot, and Volibear, he does that. He definitely runs in and ganks a lot. Following it up with the last pick, you just got to pick something that's going to win into Kassadin, and I feel like you have a lot of options. The question is what also is an option, but also scales, because they really need to complete their team comp by bringing that together and bridging all those pieces into one.
I think what could be an interesting pickup here from Spartan Shield is maybe a Cassiopeia pick. She's strong in a Castin.
I think it's Galio, though. To be honest.
I mean,
like, if I'm looking at what they're doing right now, they're going to pick Galio. Now, it is strong from a team fight composition side, and it's really easy to execute on. I do think that it's not great into Kassadin, though. It's a weird thing to say that they definitely could have pivoted in the second portion of draft, but they really did double down. I am excited to see what happens if they are able to get pick after pick after pick and just kind of toss it over at them over and over again. You might get to a point where it's just, it doesn't matter that you have a casted in scaling if you always die every time and we just kind of take every objective fight that we possibly can. There is a lot of options on the other side too. For I don't like sand. If they just hold a position and they can set up with the Caitlyn traps, it makes it really difficult for these people to even get in the first place. I do think that it's honestly, if we're going to talk like the position that these teams have gotten themselves into, I'm going to hold my tongue for a second here, Romeo, because I can talk way too much. I'm going to throw it over to you in giving your idea on who you think can actually win these fights and who's going to win this game.
I mean, if you're looking at it from a general team fighting perspective, I think Spartan Shields definitely has the stronger team fight, at least early in like level 6. What I find really interesting is their only AP threat really is Galio, and there's 2 tanks on I Don't Like Sand, right? You got Volibear, you got Set, both of them built bruisery, too tanky. Like, you're not going to be seeing an AP Volibear or nothing in this game, especially with a Castin. So it's like, once we start getting later into the game, like level 11, level 12, level 13, which like it really starts hitting mid-game around that 20-minute mark, right? You're going to have two very tanky individuals on the side of I Don't Like Sand, who if they just stack a ton of armor, it's going to be really hard for Spartan Shields to kill them, especially considering Set's a really good pick answer to Camille. And although Galio's a good answer for team fighting, Casting's going to be kind of alone in the mid lane a lot to just get free XP. And like you said earlier, Nocturne's not going to do a whole lot into Casting, because Casting's going to hit level 6 first and just be able to play super safe. So honestly, if I'm looking at composition-wise, if I Don't Like Sand can drag out this game, I definitely think it would go over to their favor.
I 100% agree with you there too, and it's really hard to kind of pinpoint down on like who's really gonna win. What I do know is how they will need to win. If Spartan Shields is able to utilize the Nocturne properly into this late game here, I think that's going to be the key point. Though if we're talking about team comps, you always look at like the flat amounts that you definitely see from both of them, right? Scaling Cassidy mid lane, right? We've got Caitlyn power, like a lot of power coming out of the bot lane, right? You've got Rakan who can set up the disengage and the engage, right? So if we're just looking at like from like the mid and the bot perspective, that's definitely one way you can look at it. And then the same thing over from mid, Galio's looking to kind of like join fights after they've started. He's got that big range to him. But once you hit past a certain threshold in the game, it changes over from like looking at where the power is early to looking at where this power is going to be in that mid late game. And one of the champions that a lot of people usually give flack to for being picked up is Nocturne because they say, oh, he falls off. He's just like, he has one goal. He just dives over into the back line and he turns off the lights. You're forgetting that the turn off the lights in comp is probably the scariest thing that can happen to you.
Not
Hands down, the minute those lights are turned off and that 6 is popped, everybody on the team panics on the other side. I don't know where he is. Where is he at? Where's he going? And I think that if Spartan Shields can utilize that surprise factor on Nocturne properly, I'm going to give it to them. But if they don't, and it is not utilized to its full extent, they will lose this game into the late game.
I think the thing that really works with their comp is the fact that you have Nocturne Galio, though. So not only are you afraid of who Nocturne's diving on, but whoever Nocturne dives on, Galio is able to follow up in an instant. And
Yes.
if they're diving on to, like, let's say, Caitlyn, right? Or, like, Set is, like, in the middle of his team, you're able to knock up their entire team. And on top of that, not only can you follow Galio, but you can also follow Camille with Galio as well if he's able to get onto their back line. The only thing that's like kind of a little bit strange is, I mean, Misfortune can be a very stationary champ at times, and although that could be
It's
good,
made
if
for the
she's not able to
wombo, though.
follow.
It's the wombo potential coming
is a
in
strong
from
wombo.
the Misfortune. And it's scary. It's a lot of damage in a very, very spread out area. So, definitely. I don't like Sand. They have to worry about that, and they've got to respect that they need to make the right rotations going into that late game if they don't want to get caught out. I do want to backpedal on one statement you said, though, that Galio going into the back line with the Nocturne, the only time I feel like that'll work if they have is when they don't have everyone there. Because I think the minute that we get past a certain threshold, and I want to toss it out as about like between the 17-minute to the 20-minute mark. The
Yeah.
minute that we get there, like as long as I don't like Sand isn't too far behind, or if they're even, it is all over in most of these team fights for Spartan Shields. If there is a full 5 group, I don't like Sand wins at that point. And if that is the case, you need to be picking very carefully who you're going to be diving onto, because even if you can, let's say, get onto the Caitlyn, Caitlyn has her trap set up in front. You can't follow it up if you only got the Galio and the Nocturne. We already mentioned that there's a lack of AP damage. Galio does nothing. Galio does like peanuts of damage into the late game. He's mostly just kind of like a beefy CC guy. And if he does decide to go AP, well, I mean, like, he does damage, but I don't think you want to be going in too often as him as the other side. So we'll have to see. It really is up in the air, and I think that it's going to come down to who plays better, as always is. And remember, this is game 1. If we're
Yes.
at game 1 and this is going to be the variables that we're dealing with right here, we got to see how it's going to turn out. And I want to wait for that in game, and we've got a little bit of a spectator delay coming up, but we'll see you soon with us over here at Phoenix Esports. And we are getting into game with the with the purple mid laner who's not in the mid lane. He's actually in the jungle over on the side of CWRU Spartan Shields. And we've got some action maybe possibly happening up here. We got a Thresh who's walking forward at a volley bear, but nothing's happening so far. I am excited for this one. Starting it out here, we got to see what is going to happen as some wards are tossed down, and I'm just gonna walk away like
Nothing ever happened.
Like people that walk away. How you doing,
Yes, I mean, people do walk away sometimes.
They
I'd
do.
argue
out
it's
of
like,
my life all the time. It's a very, very sad existence.
wow, that I was gonna say like Anakin walking away from the temple.
Oh,
but I guess
we could. Yeah, we could
works.
do that too.
I mean,
yeah.
F in the chats for Lucan over here, guys. It's almost Valentine's Day. Hit him up. But anyways, yeah, we do have a game coming onto our hands. Of course, it looks like Volibear has elected to start on the blue buff. Of course, top side, he's going to path down, try to impact his Caitlyn and Rakan, whereas on the other side, purple mid laner's pathing upwards, although I don't expect to see a lot from him early until he hits that level 6
I expect
mark.
a full clear, too. There's not too much action that'll likely happen, and honestly, there's not really too much you can do outside of path all the way top, do a full clear, and then see what you can do on the set, really. That's kind of your only option at this point.
Yeah, I mean, like, the thing is, Set and Camille definitely have a higher likelihood of fighting than Caitlyn and... Well, I mean, if Thresh lands a hook, there definitely is something that... or, like, they bait out a hook. I suppose Volibear could definitely do something. And speaking of hooks...
Boy, getting the pull in. Thresh going in, throwing out the Flay. No, he doesn't have it. He's only level 1, but it's not really working out too well. And Flavor Flaming Shock having to flash away because they're level 1. What are they doing fighting that early? A little cocky from them.
That was a hook and a half. Sir Comet didn't want me to finish my sentence.
Yeah,
went in real
really
hard,
did.
but yeah, that's a lot of chunk damage this early on for the side of I Don't Like Sands. You definitely are happy to trade an exhaust for a flash on Misfortune.
Yeah, that was not ideal. Not the real way that you'd want to handle that, but I mean, like, I guess you kind of do need to do something before level 2 hits, just not that. That's for sure. We are getting a little bit of a skerfuffle happening in the top side, where Set is definitely low, and Dezen is not looking like he's enjoying his time up there, because that's not a fun matchup to be in.
What is really interesting about the jungle, though, is Volibear invaded Nocturne's Krugs.
Oh, yeah, we've
They're
got
both level 3 moving into the lane.
Oh, here we go. The pull-in, knockback, flash in for the stun, and knocked down. Set definitely popping out and doing some more damage here. Nocturne just getting off the shield. Spectator Cam does not agree with what we're having in that top lane, as it looks like Caitlyn goes down, but to the Thresh. Not the greatest time to kind of put that over onto your support after your AD carry does lose it, but we have MF waiting for the movement speed buff to kind of come up here and maybe do some damage, but nothing else coming out of it. Lots happening on the map, and we got a 1-to-1 with a slight lead in gold happening over on the top side there for Dezen.
And the thing is, Thresh was the one who picked up the kill on the bot side, which honestly is not ideal.
No.
If you're Spartan Shields right now, just because you get the trade, right? You pull one back for your team after the top gank doesn't go so well. That on the island up top lane is going to have a much...
Whoa! Coming down and throwing out some damage under tower. Volibear definitely coming to answer. We're going to see if he can do anything as once again, Spectator Mode doesn't really care for what's happening here. Looks like he's going to walk away, and there's just some farming happening, but I didn't think that you were supposed to lose that matchup as Cassidy, and I guess it's just maybe a little bit of a diffy in the mid lane right now from FCG9.
Lucan, did you hit them with the Caster's Curse? Is that what this is?
I kind of did, but I also think that, like, maybe just they need to change their team name, because they're not really pulling up to the expectation I'd have for Vader right now. He's kind of taking the L.
I mean, you got Vader took a lot of damage before he popped off. Caston just needs to get bullied a bit until eventually he scales, right? He just got lit on fire. He's going into the suit. We're almost level 6.
Yeah.
Just hopefully his son doesn't come.
Although the Ignite did come in from Thresh onto the bot side, so we can make a joke that if Caston gets ignited, and we could say he's just saying, like, I hate you. I'm waiting to pull that one out right now, but as far as it goes, at this moment, the only thing that's really happening is he's got this big robot that's kind of smacking him, and it's like I don't know, we could make like a C3PO kind of joke midway through, but I don't really have nothing right now. But he is getting
Yeah.
chunked. He is very much getting chunked over and over again in this mid lane. And he's taking a lot of harass. I do think that it swaps up, like, after he gets some AP items, but wow, it's not looking like a fun lane for him by any means.
I mean, Set got chased all the way down to the river here, too. A lot is happening on this map.
There's a lot, yeah. There's definitely rotations coming out from top, looking to kind of, like, just maybe grab some vision. We are at that point in the game too, where mid lanes are, or at least solo lanes are going to start hitting 6, and maybe to look to make like some small plays. But I think we're still kind of just waiting on the 6 to happen for this Nocturne. That's when stuff starts to really get scary. But I mean, right now we're definitely seeing it. They want to collapse onto the set, and they're looking for the opportunity. But I don't really think there's anything there right now.
What I do find really interesting with I Don't Like Sand is how hard they've committed to scaling. You'll notice Caitlyn purchased a call in that bot lane despite how much fighting was happening early on. So they've really just committed to waiting for the late game and hoping they can pull off there. Don't fall too far behind until then. But right now, I mean, Galio has really been punishing their cast in win condition.
Yeah. Every hook going through, though, as Thresh manages to throw another one here. Sir Comet should have brought the Comet, because honestly, they would have landed pretty often here at this point. Definitely doing some damage and doing dirty over onto Genial and Kanan Beats. Genial. Another hook throwing down here as the flake comes down, and he flays him into his death, into the MF this time, finally getting a kill down over on that bot side. The dragon is taken away, and we are seeing action across the map here, but action not in the game because he was banned away. I do definitely think that there's something else that's going to be happening here pretty soon, because we've got a Nocturne that's almost level 6.
We do have a Nocturne who's about to hit level 6, and what I find interesting about what just happened to Cannon Beats is that I think the only reason he walked there was because his jungler's on Dragon, and they didn't want to leave him alone, but it's a kill for MF, and that's going to make that lane a lot harder to play, especially considering they haven't received a lot of help from Lonely Stoner.
They really haven't, and honestly, it's kind of weird how the only gank that's really come out of this Volibear from Lonely Stoner, he's only went top lane, really, and then he reacted to getting dove from the Kassadin mid lane. I really want to see what else he can do outside of the objective control, because even though he's managing to have that objective control, he's still technically behind. After this scuttle goes down, it's not going to be the case, but, I mean, like, we need more pressure from a Volibear compared to what's happening out on the rest of the map here, because he really needs to start opening up some stuff.
What will be very useful is also Volibear, once he hits level 6, he can turn off turrets, he can commit to dives. Maybe we'll start seeing Zenial try to push into Misfortune if that's the case, or we'll see Destin start shoving a lot more waves and trying to get Volibear up there to commit to some big dives onto the Camille.
Yeah, and we also have our first scaling portion of the item here, just the survive item from the Kassadin picked up in the Catalyst. So right now, as much as I want to see more action, it looks like they're over on I Don't Like Sand's side. They don't really want to have action right now. They're just waiting. They're waiting for their opportunity. They're hiding in the shadows because the shadows are going to be presenting themselves to them pretty soon here with that Nocturne ult being up, and they want to get to that point where they can fight properly. I definitely can't wait to see when that's going to be, but I do think it's going to be pretty soon here.
Yeah, and I think it makes a lot of sense.
Might
Like
be at a Sir Comet. I think that's the first hook he's missed. If we count like the ones he hit on the like minions, I'm pretty sure that's the first one he's missed.
On stream, at least, that's the first one he's missed with the camera over it. But the thing with I Don't Like Sand, they don't want to fight a lot.
Here we go.
Oh, wait a minute.
Wait, throws out the flay. Oh man, there's so much damage coming down, but the exhaust is throwing down over on the Flamin' Shock. It looks like there's even more coming down, but it's not enough. Going at the end of the exhaust and throwing out the kill on to the Caitlyn. Stuff's happening mid lane once again, though. Lonely Stoner dropping it down with the base of the Thunder. Not really connecting, though, and not really doing enough damage as the dive occurs here over onto the side of... Oh, boy. Flaming Shock's dead. And the kill went over to the Rakan, but the kill also went over onto the MF, and that does mean that we're going to see even more action, and I don't get to breathe, because we've got Volibear climbing up around from the backside here, looking to toss it down and throw down with this Thresh. Is he going to be able to grab it? Probably. Honestly, I'd be kind of surprised if he didn't. There's the kill going to be gifted over to the Caitlyn, though, because that definitely would be helpful. Throwing down Zenial, grabbing that for themselves, as we do have Rift Herald that is taken over onto the top side of the map here, likely going to be thrown down over into the mid so they can open up the map for that Galio.
And now while Lucan takes a chance to breathe, yeah, really nice play from the Volibear, of course, giving the kill over to Caitlyn. The problem with bot lane right now is Misfortune has that Kraken Slayer ready to go, and in the mid lane, Galio's going to get so much stronger as the Rift Herald is dropped. Of course, Caston's going to be able to pick up the Rift Herald XP, get to level 9 a little bit quicker, because now that when you take Rift Herald, it gives you the same XP as when you claim it.
Oh, really? I did not know that was a change. That's kind of huge, actually.
It is. And you'll see, he just hit level 9 right after taking Rift Herald. It's a sizable amount of XP once you take it if the tower doesn't get it. You have to last hit it to get it, I believe. It's not just being in the area.
Some color casting flavor there from Romeo there. Just giving you all the deets on the changes in the game. As we see a flash come down. Oh, every time I see Sir Comet, I expect a hook to be connected or a flash to be respected. Given out. And I am not disappointed so far because... Wow, really showing the prowess on this champion to be able to just be a hooker, you know?
Yeah, he's a hooker?
Yeah, he's a hooker. He's
is that his day job?
Yeah. Oh boy, speaking of hookers getting caught though, looks like it's being thrown down and Thresh being grabbed here. Sir Comet taking a lot of damage, but here comes the Galio dropping down, and there goes the Volibear being thrown away. The Lonely Stoner still being lonely and being so alone into the graveyard as more damage is thrown down onto Flamin' Shock. Flamin' Shock showing that I want to keep calling him Flamin' Hot Cheetos as he is throwing out and dishing out the damage as more and more kills are being thrown over onto the side of the Spartan shields. More fights happening topside from Desmond, and I want to breathe, and I am not able to do that too often, but I'm going to continue talking because that's all I know how to do.
And apparently all that Spartan shields know how to do is fight. They're called Spartan shields, but you'd more so think it's the Spartan spears, as they are just jabbing their opponents straight to the graveyard, of course. That is a 3k gold gap currently on the side of Spartan shields, and it's going to make scaling that much harder for I Don't Like Sand. Even though Caston was able to claim a lot of minions and a lot of XP, the roam from Galio will always be better than the roam from Caston.
It definitely will, at least in this portion of the game here. I do think, though, that we do need to respect where a lot of this gold is going out to, because MF right now is a monster. Flamin' Shock is going to be throwing their Flamin' Shock into the, I can't use certain words, into the foray here as we get into this next fight, because there's a lot of damage that can actually end up happening here. 3/4 of the timer right now being gone off of the ult cooldown for MF here. I think that we're going to have to wait and see what this next team fight brings, because this is kind of the power moment for this team over onto the Spartan Shields. This is when I expect them to be at their strongest. And they're really showing that they know how to do it. And I think that we're going to have to wait and see if they can keep it up, because right now they're in a very, very comfy power position, but they're also only up 2k gold. The throwdown of the hook onto Kanan Beats from Sir Comet, though, and the ult throwing back down over onto Flamin' Shock. You cannot escape it. Doesn't matter what you do. Oh boy, another fight breaking out here. I'm not even giving you a chance, Romeo, because they're not giving me a chance to fight right now. Nocturne coming back, using his ultimate, popping back into the fight, and everybody is dying over onto the side of... Oh no. They don't like sand, but I also don't think they like Spartan shields after this one. They're getting destroyed all across the map. There's fights everywhere. And Set's still fighting up there, but nothing's really happening from it. We get another one. Xennial really throwing out the fancy feet. It does not matter, though, if you know how to dance in the Antarctic, because at the end of the day, you're still a penguin. I wish that there was a Pengu champion. I was going to kind of weave that into a joke a little bit better. But after all of that was said and done, I mentioned just before that fight that they were a little over 2k. They're now over 6k gold ahead. So Caster Curse really showing that I should just shut up, and I'm not really helping. I don't like sand right now.
One of the things about Spartans is back in history, they were the strongest when they were just able to group together and hold down the fort. And right now, we'll notice there is no fight the Spartans take by themselves. You think they're alone for a second, and Nocturne's flying in somewhere. Galio's flying in somewhere. Thresh is popping from the bush with a hook. And every time, they don't let their opponents get away. We've seen Caitlyn try to make a run for it, and it just didn't work out in their favor. So right now, we've seen how well Spartan Shields have been across the map together. They're not leaving anyone alone, except for the Camille in the top lane. And you'd think maybe with the early lead, Dezen would have been able to do a little bit more to make up for what's been going on across the map. But unfortunately, we haven't seen a whole lot out of this top lane since that initial gank.
No, we really haven't, but it's also not really been needed, if we're being honest. I definitely think that like Set can be a little scary as the match goes on as well. But I mean, that's the case for everyone here. They're really just kind of barreling down onto the bot side to make sure that there's no real bridge from like the early to mid game through having a strong Caitlyn. And I think that's probably the right play to make here. What we are seeing though is that MF is here and she is ready to do a lot of damage. Is it going to be enough though to kill out this Set? Because Set's definitely looking like he's throwing down the haymaker here. And I don't really know if you decide to stay here. I think there's still a Nocturne ult that can pop over, and you definitely need to respect that. But another kill throwing down over onto Flamin' Shock. And
Misfortune is looking so powerful. And that's a second turret on her as well. I can only imagine that she's nearing, if not ready, to buy that second item here. I imagine... if I'm correct, that's an IE they're going with, right? I'm not crazy about the build path.
I am not an AD carry player, and I totally know this anyways. So yeah, probably. I mean, like I don't know what else to build.
It's almost certainly.
It'd be weird if they built like a Bloodthirster there for some reason. I think it'd be interesting.
I have seen it on
I don't
Draven
think
and
it'd necessarily be wrong, but I think that
queue.
it's like IE is also a really good pickup with the changes too.
Well, you just get so much extra damage, and considering how often.
Wild.
She's not really in need of the healing. She's just deleting her opponents. If she has IE there, Set certainly dies.
Yeah, I think that if we don't see it, even so, it doesn't really matter when you're like 6 kills ahead of your opponent in 20 CS. You just can kind of build whatever you want. Honestly, if she just wanted to pivot into lethality here, I think it'd still be the right choice. Maybe not like the optimal choice, but Volibear's getting picked out here. Is it going to be enough, though, to take him out? I do think that Conan Beats is kind of losing here as he gets dove down over to the other side of the map, and now he's over on their side of the map, and he's definitely thrown himself over there for nothing, really. I mean, Lonely Stoner is, once again, still lonely in the grave. I don't know how you're going to look to combat this if you're not going to be respecting areas of vision and looking to properly clear them out, though. It's really getting to a point of where they've gotten to such an incredible lead here in the early game, almost like 8K, and it's looking kind of grim in the position that you're in if you're I don't like sand, because you can say, yeah, guys, we can scale, we can last for another like 7-8 minutes and be relevant, but the issue is being constantly pushed onto you right now to be respecting where to properly allocate everybody, to properly clear out all the waves, and if not, then they're grouping as 5 and throwing down the hammer. And as far as it goes, you're not a tempered blade to be made. You're just the anvil that's taking a smacking.
And the other thing about it lasting 7 to 8 minutes is that odds are, by that time frame, Soul Point will be up for the side of Spartan Shields, and that's Inferno Soul. Onto their champions. Inferno Soul looks absolutely nasty.
Got a bit of a position here where it looks like they could go up for a fight, but the tower still being there in all 5. I actually think that if this engage happened here from the Spartan Shields, I don't think it'd be optimal for them.
Not till Nocturne gets closer.
No. It's one of those weird situations where even though they're so far ahead right now, as long as they're within their territory, I do actually think that I don't like Sand actually holds a little bit of fighting power here. I don't think that this is the best way to kind of look at it right now, though, because yeah, you don't have everyone there. You're getting picked off left and right, and you're kind of isolated. This is a position that you definitely did not want to be in. You kind of needed to all be together, and the minute they kind of split up, it opened up that play to happen.
And speaking of which, their territory is starting to crumble more and more as the T3 towers are going to fall. The inhib's probably going to fall in this play. And, of course, they're going to be able to walk back and pick up that Baron that's spawning in 20 seconds' time, which is only going to make their force that much more impressive.
And I really think that this is usually the part of the game where you are looking to... You're looking to wonder what you do for the next game. Because this game, at the very least in the early portions of it, has not worked out well for you. And you've also seen, very much so, that the Spartans, are going to kill the Kassadin. You've also seen that the Spartans are looking to do a very specific type of team comp. It looks like they are favoring globals and they're favoring dive. If you can identify that at this point in the game, you definitely can look to pivot off of that into your draft for the next game. But there wasn't enough to deal with it in this one right now, and I think that's really what needs to be said here, because as we definitely look at the 10k gold lead, the above 10k gold lead actually at this point. Um, it's not really so much about how do you win this one, it's how do you gracefully lose while also discussing what's going to be happening next year. There is the possibility of the Baron Steel, and I could be bringing the Caster Curse, but I'm not too sure if that's going to be the case right now. It's really difficult to get into there, and I'm definitely wondering what we can think about for going from this next point here, as the Baron is looking to be taken uncontested.
The Baron is definitely going to fall onto the side of Spartan Shield, and I imagine we're either going to see 5 run down mid, or maybe a 3-2 split, because you have the globals. Maybe you send Nocturne and
5 mid, but from the looks of it.
Galio top. But yeah, it looks like we're getting 5 mid. They're certainly going to run through that T3, probably get another inhib, and then at very least, if they don't want to end, they can fall back to that Inferno Drake that's going to be up in a minute's time. And yeah, it's just not looking great. Caston's Rod will be completed in 3 minutes, but even that's still...
It's a stretch on it if they're gonna get there, right? They've got the supers pushing in bot there, and they kind of just escort them back over into here, and they've got all the cooldowns that they need to just pull the trigger here and do one more fight that's been working for them every single time that they've pulled that trigger. So who's gonna go? Who's going forward? Is it the Nocturne? Is it the Camille? Are they just gonna lay down the MF ult and say screw it, kill somebody? It looks like it's gonna be all of the above, as they're starting to throw down everything, and it's all throwing down, and everybody's down for the count over on the Spartan side, except for Dezen. Man, I feel like the set has been experiencing a completely different game compared to everyone else on this team.
He was on his island. He was on his island waiting for something to happen, and unfortunately, the second he left Hawaii and went back, it was just in crumbles.
Yeah. He came back from vacation. He left the workplace in a relatively all right just kind of situation there, and then immediately he gets back and everything's on fire. And
you know that picture of like the dog, and behind him there's like the building that's on fire, and he's just sitting there like everything's fine.
I was picturing more so like Donald Glover in Community, where he pops in and everyone's just screaming and everything's on fire, right? Like it's just not working out well. That was like Dezen was Donald Glover in that moment, where he was just like, I don't know what I'm supposed to do with all of this here. But yeah, that as far as it goes, that is game 1. I don't like Sand. They definitely have a lot that they're going to need to adapt for if they're going to be looking to go against Spartan Shields, and Spartan Shields tries to do the exact same game plan. I do think, though, that Spartan Shields definitely, they have an idea of what they want to do. And I think that's the very clear thing that you can see. And they did it well. They did it very, very well. So it's definitely going to come up to the question of how do they do that again to close this out in a quick 2-0? Or are they going to maybe try to spice things up and possibly play the Pantheon, much like the Spartan Shields name kind of goes? The way that you guys already played with the semi-globals and the globals kind of popping up, I feel like you could work it into the draft, and I like a good Pantheon here and there. It fits with the name. I feel like it's all right.
It certainly does fit with the name, but what I'm really interested to see is how I don't like Sand changed up the draft. Of course, they went really ballsy with the first pick Caston, right? We've seen them get a lot of counter picks, even though they first picked Caston. But I think what we didn't consider when we looked at draft is they first picked Caston and said, okay, we're going to scale. And although Spartan Shields maybe threw up some counter picks, they really just counterpicked the win con of I don't like Sand, right? You want to play safe behind your towers, but when you're against a full dive comp, you got globals going around the map, there's no chance Caston can scale. And really, I don't like Sand's way into it wasn't played around a whole lot. Volibear got the good gank on Dezen, and then Dezen didn't really get to do a whole lot with the lead, and Lonely Stoner kind of stopped focusing top and really kept playing into Purple mid laner's game, because he was just trying to follow up Purple mid laner's ganks to very little success. Had he maybe focused Dezen more, got a lead in the top lane, we maybe could have seen Dezen and him try to contest these team fights, even just protect their team and keep them alive until Exiled 1 was scaled. But because Lonely Stoner was so focused on trying to do damage control, we never really seen them get to play to the identity of their comp.
They really didn't. They really didn't get to that point in the first point. And that's really what needs to be said is that they didn't get to that point. So what did they do well, and how do you kind of look to answer? You can definitely look to play your own game, and if your game is to play a scaling Cassidon first pick comp into them, then by all means you can take that initiative and you can run that comp again and just try to play it better. But it's how you play it better or what you can answer that'll give you the better response going into the next game. I definitely think that the pieces that they had there to them were not going to allow them to deal with what Spartan Shields brought to the table as well as they could have. So, if we're looking for adaptations, the primary fields that I would end up looking into would definitely be not first picking what is usually a counter pick mid. I understand that it's like a power pick, but it is not a power pick into certain champions, and it is not a power pick that you usually just kind of throw on the table when there's a ton of different counters that can stop it from getting to when it's powerful. I want to see them throw down, I guess, just a little bit more uh, agency for something early. We even saw that Caitlyn picked up, but then picking up the Cull, which is kind of counterintuitive to the champion. I want to see. I want to see them lay down whoever's the strongest lane, and as far as I can tell, it's going to be in the top lane. Lay down a power pick for your strong top laner, and then lay down a jungler that's just going to repeat gank and gank and gank over and over and over again, and then have everyone else on your team be based around disengage, and you probably will win against the Spartan Shields if they do the exact same thing. On the Spartan Shield side, do something different.
What
That's
I'd
it.
be really
Or
personally
do the same thing if it works again and they don't change. So.
What I'd really be personally interested in seeing is every time Spartan Shields play, they play very, very well as a team, as a 5 group or 4 group, 3 group, right? They're very good at playing around each other and making sure they always have a number advantage. I'd be interested in seeing what happens, though, if you pick a split pusher in the top lane. Maybe you have that
Yeah.
threat. So, yeah, you're 5v4ing. But if you instead pick, I don't know, like a Sivir, right? Something that you can disengage and, like, because I think the disengage strategy works. But you pick something that can stall out, right? Something where every team fight, you're just throwing in poke,
Why did
able
we
to
see? Why did
disengage,
we
run
not see
away.
Zaya with Rakan?
Yeah, Zaya
Like
with
that would have
Rakan
been
would
perfect.
have been
Like, for
incredible.
being honest here. And if
Yeah,
you want to play a
actually.
scaling mid laner, bring up like Azir. Azir does the same thing, but he's more relevant early.
But the other thing,
There's
too,
a lot of
is
questions that kind of happen from the draft, but I mean, like we'll have to wait and see what happens with this next one here. I want to get a quick break to grab more water, and we'll see you shortly after that break for the draft. And we're back here with Phoenix Esports and the Spartan Shields, and I don't like Sand again. Spartan Shields just won. I don't like Sands just lost, and I want to see what happens next. What do you think, Romeo? What do you think's going to happen next year as we get into this draft here, and they're looking to lock it down and looking to lock in their champions and their bans?
Well, I think first off, Spartan Shield's bans are going to look very different from Game 1. I don't imagine they're going to be leaving as many global champions up for Spartan Shield to take.
Yeah.
And I'm really, really interested to see how their comp changes. Like I was saying before the break, I really hope we see something different. Maybe a split push to the top lane with Desrin. Just something where they can, with a numbers disadvantage,
I don't like
to make
Sands
an impact.
disagrees with you, by the way. They're just banning the exact same shit. They're running it back. No Nocturne.
There we go.
Get Nocturne out of there. I don't want to see Nocturne in this game.
As
He's
deserved.
gone.
We don't need no Nocturne.
No.
Rise is gone. I mean, that's technically.
I don't like the shadow people.
Oh, wow. I mean, that is a statement. Of
he's a nightmare person.
Lucan doesn't like Caston. Lucan doesn't like Voidborns. Lucan doesn't like Blobs. Lucan doesn't like Stan.
I don't like any of these people over on this side of the. Graves being thrown out. I'm a big Graves fan though. I like Graves. He's a big, gritty man who likes to throw down his shotgun and blast away, and he's a very aggressive jungler. Already much different in comparison to the Nocturne that has been taken away because they don't like shadow people, as well as not liking Sand decided to take him away.
I'm going to throw it out there. Lucan said that he was kind of lonely and he likes big men, big grizzled men. So, if any big grizzled men
I also like Vi. I don't know if that adds to anything.
I got a question for you. What does Vi stand for?
Girls with pink hair? What about it?
What does Vi stand for?
Very intelligent.
Ooh, I like that one.
I like very intelligent women.
I like that one. But does it stand for victory this game? Is the real question that we have to ask. Is the Vi pickup going to be enough to stop Spartan Shields from being able to land those dives? And maybe in team fights, you get another fed person like Misfortune. You get the cease and desist on her so she can't play the game, you know? So I think Vi is a strong pickup from I Don't Like Sand. We're also going to see the Leona come out. Leona's a much stronger bot laner when it comes to fighting. So it looks like I Don't Like Sand might be committing to a strong side bot lane. I just pray to God we don't see call again on whoever they pick up.
Very true. Renata thrown back down over onto Spartan Shield's side. If I want to make any statement off of this draft so far, can I just say that the Vi and Leona pickup in this first rotation is already phenomenally better for a team comp compared to what we saw last time for things that can cohesively work together. I love it. That statement thrown out there, though, Renata kind of counters what it wants to do. So, one champion set thrown out there, Renata and Kaisa thrown out. They say, oh, well, I mean, like, we kind of want you to kind of run at us and attack us in the first place. Samira being locked in to answer back over on the other side. I Don't Like Sand has decided that they want to fight this game.
Like it. I actually really like the
love these
Leona
picks.
pickup into Kaisa Renata. I actually think they smashed it with their bot lane draft. I could be crazy. I don't know the percentages on like the win rate in terms of these bot lanes going at it. But when I look at those two, I'm definitely more afraid of the threat of Leona and Samira as opposed to Kaisa and Renata. Especially because, like, how strong is Renata Ultimate really into those two? I mean, like, if you get lucky, Leona lands a stun, and, like, I mean, am I crazy or does Samira still stack when she's attacking her own teammates? I have no idea.
I think it'd be really funny if, like, Samira throws down her ultimate and then Renata throws down hers and Samira just melts her team, but I don't think that's how that works.
No, she stops ulting.
It would be so funny, though. It would be great.
It would be. It'd be hilarious.
Would be really, really funny. If we're throwing back what's really funny, too, I Don't Like Sand not getting a chance to put the Cassidon again like they did in the first rotation in the last game because it's taken away, as well as the Jax. It looks like Spartan Shields should call themselves I Don't Like Purple People in the second round of the draft because that's what they've taken away. And also, I Don't Like Sand said we're kind of half there where we don't like Purple People by taking away the Kennen and then also the Galio, which was very much a strong pick from the last set of picks here from the Spartan Shields. I will say, I didn't really expect it to be picked up this game, though, just based off of the rest of the first rotation of the draft here from Spartan Shields. So a little bit of an odd one there. Shen being picked up, though. Oh, boy. Okay, so the team that was diving last time was the Spartan Shields.
Yes.
This time, it is 100% I Don't Like Sand who is going in. That has been confirmed 1,000%. They're committed to it, too.
really, really interesting to see the Shen pickup. I was thinking maybe they play hard topside, split push and whatnot, but they've really committed to kind of the Spartan Shield method and are saying we're all together. Whereas Spartan Shields took my idea and said, okay, we see the Shen. You guys want to play as a team like we did last game? Fine. We're confident enough to say we can 4v5 it and then have Alawi run down your lane.
Can we talk about like just one? I want to make a just very awesome statement here. There's a lot of strong female champions in this draft alone.
There is.
There's 6 strong female champions in this draft, and it's kind of nice to see. Alawi being the strongest in the physical sense, maybe paired up against the Vi, might be a little bit of conflict there, but Vi's got mechanical enhancements, and speaking of mechanical enhancements, Heimerdinger throwing down as the last pick here from...
Ooh, wait a minute.
From the Spartan Shields, followed by the Echo over on the other side.
I mean,
we've got some spice this game.
Almost every guy on the team has some sort of enhancement, and then the rest is just strong power for women ready to go at it. And I think it's really interesting that it feels like a lot of the guys...
I think Heimerdinger might be like the weakest champion, like physicality-wise, over on Spartan Shields, and he doesn't fit the theme.
Oh, come
on! Like, thematically speaking, like, he's just got the big brain. And we already discussed, Vi's got the, like, you know, she's very intelligent. So, I mean, like it's matched already. Like
Echo's a literal child. I think Heimer beats Echo in a one-on-one.
Echo is literally a kid genius who can turn back time. If
we're talking lore power strength, we're not even talking. Arcane?
You know what? I'm eliminating any conversation of what actually happens in the team fight portion of this game. I'm changing it over to who wins lore battles here. We're looking head to head right now, and I really want to talk about this very briefly. I think there's actually a good argument back and forth to be had for both teams. I do, however, think that if we're edging it out against each other here, I don't like Sand wins hands down. Like 100%.
Lore-wise or actual-wise? Like, what are we going with here?
Lore-wise, they win. There's no way they can... They have Echo. He turns back time.
Only for himself.
Yeah, I know, and he's really sad because of it.
He's sadder than a moo. He leaves all his friends in the future.
Yeah, exactly.
It's kind of rough.
He's just trying to save his friends, but he never will be able to.
What's in lore-wise?
So they might win in like the combat sense, but you know what? I don't like Sand. We'll be like losing in on the other side though. Emotionally speaking, that emotional like will be stripped from them and taken away from them, much like Padme was from Anakin.
Wow! It's finally come out. What I think's really interesting though, right, is. We were speaking about who's stronger lore-wise. Odds are, I don't like Sand. Shen is the strongest. And also, I think Shen, from a gameplay perspective, has the greatest chance to make an impact on who's going to win the 5v5 overall with his ultimate.
I love that we now need to...
Going to the tournament.
I love that we now need to clarify from a gameplay perspective.
Listen, from an on-the-rim perspective, why we're actually here, bringing it all the way back, right? The Shen ultimates is what could change the game. Ignore going back in time, even though Echo's insanely oppressive when he goes from 1 HP to full HP, right? It is really, really on, I think, Shen to do a lot in these team fights, especially in case Samira or Vi find themselves a little bit in over their head in some fight. They might take bot lane if they're going for a tower dive or something. Shen could clean it up, or even if you see Graves coming to that bot side, they're in a 3v2 situation, instantly it becomes a 3v3, and we see what's the shields did to I Don't Like Sand happen to the shield back. You know what I mean?
Okay. I'm going to raise a counterpoint here. If we're talking about gameplay, I do want to get into it. You know what, Romeo? You take the play-by-play this game. You take it, because I feel horrible. My throat is killing me, and I need this water, and I'm almost out, actually.
You hear that?
Snow was telling me to, like, grab some more water, like, midway through. And I'm like, no, I got it. And, you know, we ball, right? I need it. I'm going to be out relatively soon. But if we're talking about... We're talking about the game's gonna work. Go ahead.
This man, Lucan, right? He literally destroyed his voice for all of you last game. That's how hard this man was getting into it. He was so focused that he went and destroyed himself, joining the dark side, if you will, becoming the Darth Vader of casting by how hard he went, man. So props for that.
I'm
So
gonna take
yes.
the high ground and then take this conversation side from you. And for the last moment here, I'm gonna talk about this for a couple of minutes. On how I think the early game is gonna work, because we do definitely need to see that. This is an interesting position to be in if you're Spartan Shields, because you have a massive amount of priority from the Heimerdinger um, in the mid lane. And the
Yes.
biggest portion for that early game is that, yes, mid lane is going to be shoved in, but the pairing with the Graves, while Graves is honestly one of the stronger, and always has been, always will be one of the stronger early game, like fighting junglers, right? He loves to kind of just skirmish or just kind of like throw down. Um, we're gonna see him probably invade a lot because there's always going to be that Heimerdinger prio, and Echo is not likely going to be able to really do too much from there. We also do kind of have ticking time bombs in the Alawi over on the top side, and if we're really getting into it now from taking away from this lore to gameplay perspective, Hibernator and Alawi want you to dive into them. Like literally the
Yes.
whole game, that's their whole existence is just waiting for you to join. Same with Renata. Renata does the exact same thing. Graves is just kind of damage, and Kaisa just kind of like kites around to clean up a fight after everyone's getting real low. Honestly, if we're talking from a gameplay perspective, Spartan Shields like should win this because the focus from I don't like sand is very one dimensional in what they want to do, and it literally plays into the game of Spartan Shields. If we do see team fights won over by I don't like sand, it's going to have to be off of rotations, and it's going to have to actually be out of bot lane. Bot lane absolutely needs to win early and to snowball this if they want to kind of bridge it over into the later portions of the game. Because in most like 5v5 team fights, I don't like sand after a certain point in this game, they can't do them. They just will not be able to do the full 5v5. So that's really what I want to look at. Romeo, if you have any like, if you have like 3 words to say before we cut it over back into the break, yeah, anything?
May the force be with you.
That was more than 3 words. Cut it now. Cut it. Cut it. Welcome back. I'll let Romeo take it. He's play-by-play. He can do this one.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Rift for this game 2. If the Spartan Shields win, they're going to take the series home and remain undefeated at 8-0 in games. But if I Don't Like Sands can win, we'll be going to a game 3 tonight. I got a question. We didn't discuss this. What would your prediction be for this game, looking at these two drafts?
I think I kind of mentioned it. Like, I definitely think that like the overall draft, as has been the story tonight, has definitely been in the favor of Spartan Shields. I think though that it is going to kind of come up to how bot lane plays through. Like it's we need to see where it's going to kind of go from there, right? And how we're going to see everything kind of like come together. But very much overall, it's just kind of, I feel like we're going to see a lot of invades. We're going to see so many invades by this Graves, and it's just because the Heimerdinger kind of just lets him. In fact, for the most part, Alawi kind of does too. And we might just see that like there might just be a triple kind of like camp threat constantly being on the map here. So yeah, that's the big thing to look out for.
The one thing that is worth mentioning is odds are the majority of the fights when we get to the team fighting stage are going to be a 4v5 for the side of I Don't Like Sands. And they're going to have to make those fights quick and really go into them fast if they're going to save whatever side of the map Alawi is split pushing on.
Yeah, and it looks like there's already that vision pressure being thrown over onto this Vi here, because Heimer is already pushing up. FCG9 is throwing in the ward this early out over onto the Raptors, just so that we know the timing of when Vi gets there, and maybe, just maybe, it'll allow Graves to just kind of like push up and fight her in the jungle, or he might even just say like he knows the fact that she's skipping a camp here, and that's all.
Well, when here comes in, a Zenith Blade's going to come in. They land the stun. The ignite goes off in Sir Comet. Going to go down. The first blood is already on the side of I Don't Like Sands. Of course, it's very similar to last game. The support picking up the first blood, and what a quick engage from them there.
It really was, and I mean they're already starting to show that is where the power is going to be this early on. And it really is unfortunate, though, that the kill did not go over onto the Samira. Samira needs to start getting those stats if they want to just hold the power here in this moment in the game. I don't really know how much power will be picked up because of that now. There was only the flash burnt onto the Renata, and if we're being honest here, as we start to see this kind of like ramp up, I'm very much expecting more fights to happen. But Renata to not care. That's one of the big things that I definitely want to mention, is that Renato at a certain point will just not care for being dove onto. So we'll need to see where that comes out to.
Of course, she's able to keep people alive with that W of hers for a long time. Especially if you get the kill while the W goes, you don't drop dead. And I think that can be very strong for a person like Kaisa, right? Who's diving in, you get the W off, and she's just able to stand and fight until she gets the kill, right?
Yeah, and we also have so much to say for this next portion here, where Scuttle is taken away from the Graves, and there's not too much happening in terms of actual fighting. I say this as there's literally a fight about to start in the mid, kind of a brief little one. There's a lot of pressure being thrown down, but there's not a lot of fighting that's actually going to need to be had over from Spartan Shields right now. The only thing that they need to do is constantly keep up the pressure and get to a point where they can just kind of, you know, absorb the pressure that will inevitably be thrown back at them. And they are doing that very well right now. They don't need to be ahead in every lane, just in the two lanes, in the two solo lanes and in the jungle, which is already starting to happen because Graves has a sizable lead. But with 32 to 20 CS right now, while taking away one of the camps of Vi here, and very likely meeting up with him, with the Vi here in Lonely Stoner in just a moment if he sticks around.
Yes, and that is very, very strong of your Graves. Of course, they kind of have the late game skill here with Graves, kind of their version of Caston, only he's able to play a lot safer, and of course, the invade's breaking out. Heimer
a little too far forward.
Oh my god!
Whoa!
Jing Kimchin trying to dive in, trying to teach Dezen a harsh lesson, but the lesson's reversed back onto them as they go down quite quickly, and that's going to be a big kill on the Dezen. It's just going to be interesting to see if this game, the first kill in the top lane, is going to make more of an impact.
Yeah, that was a little disrespectful to be that far forward under tower against this Shen. That's that's not a safe space to be in. And it definitely does kind of change up the dynamic a little bit. Shen being ahead always is kind of a good thing for the entire team over on I don't like Sand's side. And now that that does open up, that kind of earlier lead there, we see 6, and Shen is just he's definitely going to be able to swing a fight in the other direction should one start a little bit earlier than it should.
The other thing, though, is the level 6 is now up. They can stay united as a team, as I don't like Sans, and we might see a little bit more aggression come out of their bot lane. We haven't seen too much since the first blood occurred, but now you have Shen Ultimate ready to go. And also, you have Echo Ultimate ready, which means Echo might be able to try to force something onto Heimer if he's able to get past a couple of those turrets, or we might start seeing him roam to the side lanes since he's not ever really going to be able to get that big of an advantage in lane.
No, I think that we're gonna have to see where everything ends up across the map here, because as we're speaking, the dragon is being soloed by purple mid laner, who is not the mid laner but the jungler. Just for clarification for everyone who might be thinking that I'm talking about a different purple mid laner who is not currently in the mid lane, because that's that is FCG9.
And Vi tries to steal the dragon, isn't going to have him now. Cornered in the pit, has to flash out, but FCG is on their way to try to take out the Lonely Stoner. And just like the namesake, they are all alone. The stuns are being brought out, the missiles coming.
Oh,
and
man,
picks up the kill. That is monumental for Spartan Shields.
Oh boy, oh boy. Well, I mean, she tried. She vied. She did not survive.
She tried, but the play was simply not viable.
That works a little bit better too. I was trying to make too many plays on words all at once, so.
And I think Vi was trying to make too many plays in the game. Went in by herself with her team back to the dragon pit.
Yeah.
Almost stole it.
Behind.
Smited it down to 32 HP. In fairness, it was a very, very close smite battle. But for first Hextech Drake, I think you drop it rather than because now the bot lane is a little bit behind.
Yeah, and like. It's in a very awkward situation to be in here now. If you are, I don't like sand. You've got kind of equal amounts of pressure that are going to be held up in every one of the lanes while they have a Graves. And if you thought that Graves was building a small lead before, with it being the Vi that died on the map here, Graves now just does not need to give a shit about where he is on the map.
Dodged the E, and now he's going in.
Oh boy.
The ultimate brought out by Allow, but a flash out keeps him alive. And that King Kimchin is only alive by the skin of their teeth. Dezin lost the flash, and King Kimchin going to be able to walk out because purple mid laner has arrived to save him.
A very eventful, uneventful thing. Oh man,
the lateral damage brought out, but Dezin still living, but not for much longer as Graves picks up the first kill in his arsenal.
Yeah, well, I mean, you've got Graves coming down.
Oh, wait, another fight. Going into the bot lane. Of course, level 6 here. Samira going to activate the ultimate. Flaming Shock alive, but the W keeping them alive. Are they going to be able to catch him? Echo has arrived to lane. He's running into that river. Flaming Shock going to run into the jungle. And the bot lane's kind of fallen off, but the Exiled one is chasing them down. Sir Comet over the wall, trying to keep her alive, but Cannon Beats and Exile are chasing them down. But they're not going to find anything, and that's got to be tilting for I Don't Like Sans.
I would have a broken keyboard in that situation. Or two, because honestly, that was rough. That was not something that you want to see as walking with a sliver of your health if you are on I Don't Like Sans' side. But on the Spartan side, you have got to have your heart pumping the whole time that you're getting chased down there. There is no way that is not satisfying to walk away from on that side. So, I mean, like, props to you on that. I do think now, though, we kind of got to get into that conversation of the slight leads into the better team comp, or just kind of staying even and reaching this point here where everybody's got ults, and apparently you're going to throw your pressure over onto the Alawi.
Vi able to get the knock-up, and although the ultimate brought out by Alawi, Cease and Desist comes out, and Dezin picking up his second kill on that top lane.
It's kind of concerning to see that the only kill is going to be up over onto your top laner, who's not really the primary focus for, like, being a carry on your team. much more is supposed to be the one who survives and throws it down to assist your team.
But the
Um,
one thing with Dezen getting ahead early, it makes his priority of getting ultimates off a little bit easier. He'll lose a
it
little bit
definitely
less
does.
in lane every time he's able to help his team with a fight. The only thing is, the only ultimate opportunity he's really had wasn't going to be a winning one, and that would have been if he ulted Stoner while they were completely by themselves.
Oh,
But we're going to
getting
have the Rich
caught
Herald drop
out.
mid here. Comet drop. They're calling the Sun God as the stun comes out, and it looks like Samira's going to find their first kill, but the
No.
ultimate keeps them alive.
Okay.
No. Oh my god.
Not this time.
What a hostile takeover, but not enough to keep Renata going. And yeah, that's first blood for Samira here.
You can tell that Zenile did not want to let that one go.
Oh god, no. Oh god.
This is not happening again. There is no way. I am not dealing with this. Not on my watch. You know, I've dealt with it once. I was able to keep calm, but not happening again.
Just like the
Flashing
kids in
for
the
the
temple, Zenile not letting Renata get away. Oh god.
There's so many younglings so close to dead, and they could have had them. But they're not letting them get away this time.
You underestimate my power.
Oh no! Run! Everybody run! Samira's on a rampage! Well, not actually. Samira's got one kill, and that is going to keep them ahead for this little portion here. It does help a lot. That plus the 30 farm is definitely going to be an enabler to go further in this fight here.
But wait a minute. Purple mid laner coming down.
Lot
FG
being
coming
thrown
down.
down.
Zinel caught out. The Shadow coming out. Stay united. It's a 4v4
Desert?
in the bot lane. Desert comes in. The taunt comes out. Samir pumps the ultimate. Lonely Stoner going to pick up a kill. He gets another stun on Sir Comet. Sir Comet going to go down to Cannon Peak. And it's just FCG and Flaming Shock. They're trying to turn it. Cannon and Ninja help and Lonely Shock going back in. A cease and desist. And there goes Flaming Shock. It's a 3-for-1 trade on the side of I Don't Like Sands.
Wow. So, you know, it really helps to have a Shen anywhere on the map when you need him.
The ultimate comes out. The tower dive's going to happen with a taunt. Going to keep him alive. King Kimjin trying to find the kill, and he does. Teaching Dezen a harsh lesson for leaving the lane and leaving with an inch of HP. And we're seeing the pings go down. Dezen does not like what just happened.
Okay. So, let's you take a break here from your yelling because you're giving me post last game anxiety from how much I was yelling. And let's quickly just kind of dissect what the state of the game turned into over a very short period of time here. While we've currently got the ahead position that I Don't Like Sand is in. With everything that was just thrown down there, and all the kills going to where they did.
Wait a minute. Vi coming in the mid lane. FCG is caught. He's going to drop the stopwatch. But the exiled one still going to find the kill. And worst thing for Spartan Shields is despite being in a certainly dead position, FCG still burns the flash.
I blame them for not picking Pantheon, and this is not going in their favor right now. I'm just saying, if they could have picked Pantheon, I would have been much happier with them, but they are really just kind of getting caught out across the map here. And I mean, it's understandable with a pick comp here and not kind of being into a position where you're constantly going to be just all together as a team right now. It's really not working out in their favor.
The stun from Exiled, he's got the Chrono Shift ready to go, but doesn't take it. But in the top lane, taunt coming out from King Kimchin. The tower gonna go down, but here comes Vi to earn some gold back, and despite the ultimate coming out from Alawi, Dezen finding another kill, and that's a pretty strong Shen, isn't it?
That is a very strong Shen. I want to make a quick statement here. Do you know how hard it is to be a color caster when everyone keeps fighting outside of what you'd actually expect them to do, and then it's just the constant state of the game shifting? I don't even know what's going on anymore here. Let's be honest here. We've got a Shen that's up 3 kills and is constantly getting pressure thrown out. Vi is in every single lane and might have had the farm behind in this situation, but has now gotten to a point of where anywhere that she goes is where the light touches and just kind of sets across the valley of where the death is going to be on the side of Spartan Shields. Because right now, with how disjointed and uncentralized we don't have Spartan Shields, they're being taken advantage of left and right for them not being around someone else on the team. Graves kind of hovering in the bot side, and leaving right now as Vi is starting to rotate down there is probably just maybe spilling certain doom if she does just decide to dive down over onto this tower. And I'm not too sure where we're going to get to a point where they're not ahead right now, because 2K ahead right at this moment, while having a lot of gold on everyone who needs it, is definitely feeling great right now for I Don't Like Sand.
The other thing worth considering is almost all of the gold of Spartan Shields is on that Alawi with the 5 tower plating she's taken and the first turret. However, when you look at the gold, Shen is neck and neck with her because of the 3 kills. So when you're looking at the gold gap, you got to keep in mind the bottom half of the map for I Don't Like Sans, it's where the lead really is.
And throwing out a lot of skills back and forth here that are just not connecting at the moment, but when they do, that is what to look out for. Oh, it is getting to being on thin line of pressure here, that when it snaps, we know we're going to see something wild happen again here. And it's also going to feel kind of awful to be over on the side of Spartan Shields, because if you really want to kind of like commit to anybody, you got to make sure that the Shen's preoccupied. And if he's not, then I mean, like, he's just gonna kind of answer really quick here over on the other side of the map. And on top of that, even if you do want to focus down the Shen, honestly, from the side of Spartans, it must feel like Vi is up there all the time.
Vi is where every play is being made, but it looks like they have finally formed the phalanx in the mid lane. Comet, mid laner, and FCG trying to get down that mid turret, but of course, Vi and Leon are coming in deep, and here the stun gonna go out from Echo. He gets 2 of them, and Vi's here now. Purple mid laner with an inch of health, cease and desist. He goes down like a dog, and Comet flashing away from safety with a stand and unite burn. That means Alawi is gonna be able to focus the T2 turret. The taunt comes out, but doesn't just losing his entire health bar with cannon beats and flaming shots.
Boy.
Gonna almost try to kill him again.
Okay.
He does it. He's able to find that killer instinct, and down goes Leona.
And joining up for that fight, but lasting just long enough as they needed to. Definitely kind of swung the gold back over.
Oh, wait, up top.
Not enough, though.
The Alawi in the blink of an eye. He goes down, not able to find the T2 turret.
Yeah, I'm telling you right now, the existence that King Kimchi has known is that Vi must always be around here, I swear.
Yeah, it is. It is hard if you're the tentacle lady tonight.
Yeah, it gotta kind of feel not great. And I definitely want to see how the spaghetti is going to unravel going forward here, as this dragon is looking to be taken. And there is a little bit of a contest that can definitely be thrown out, but I don't really know if it's going to be enough with how much people are here, or if it's the right call to make in the first place. I think you give this one up, and you look to kind of consolidate whatever you can grab from knowing that everyone is on this side of the map at the moment. There's a lot that can be cleared out. There's a lot of standing gold. In terms of creeps that are on the map, in terms of any sort of jungle camps that you can clear out, and they really need to get to that point where they are going to be more relevant in fights when they are all together. Because currently, as it stands, they're actually not that far behind. They're actually only 1K behind right now, and like I had mentioned, the later this game goes, the more tools and the more the effectiveness of the tools that Spartans has is going to grow against this team comp that was drafted over by I Don't Like Sam.
Something I think is really interesting, though, when you look at Spartan Shields, is Alawi elected to go Black Cleaver, which means she's playing a little more team fight oriented. And wait a minute, Lonely Stoner trying to find the in-game and purple mid laner here. She's gonna be chasing him down, and here comes
the child TP
from Zon. The cease and desist, nowhere for Graves to go, and Lonely Stoner gonna find the kill, but the TP from King Kimchin.
This is the power combo.
Team fight oriented.
Oh.
And Lonely Stoner by themselves, and a shutdown gonna go to King Kimchin.
Okay, we need to get to this point here, because you were just about to mention it. The team fight kind of aspect that Alawi is going to be having, that is exactly what is the scary portion of this team comp. Do you know what you get when you have 3 Heimer turrets down in an area, and an Alawi and a Heimer just kind of sitting there waiting for something to happen? You get an area of the map that cannot be contested as long as they are up to snuff with being able to fight. And they are quickly going to get to that amount of prowess if we start to see basically just the Heimer be all right. The minute that Heimer picks up a second item here is likely when we're going to start to see that things will be thrown in for a wrench towards the plans of or
thrown over from I Don't Like Sand. And I think that's the biggest thing that we can look at, because right now, as it stands, we have seen I Don't Like Sand constantly go in for the 5-man team fights over and over and over and over again. And you know what that has like cemented in certain areas? It's cemented that yes, while Shen had a lead, he's currently 60 farm behind. he's not exactly doing too great in the farm department. So he's staying even right now with Alawi. We've also kind of got 20.
Wait a minute.
Oh boy, there might be a fight here.
Tower, and they're gonna get a war here as the Sand and United is broken out, but the ultimate comes out. W keeping Flaming Shark alive for not long enough.
Oh, both sides.
Isa, Renata, and Samira all go down, but the fight still rages on as it's a 4v3, but doesn't no help. Last Exile gonna chrono shift back in, trying to get away, hops over the wall, barely getting away from the Alawi tentacles, and Lonely Stoner trying to peel them off. The ultimate brought out from Alawi, but it doesn't find anything, and Lonely Stoner gonna run away. Will she get away from the tentacles? It's looking not promising at all as Lonely Stoner goes down.
And this is kind of what I was talking about, how they just kind of set up the death zone. I don't know if you had, like, if we did have replays, and I know we don't. I know, Snow. Don't at me. But if we had replays that we could see this, what just happened to Shen in the backline was kind of funny. He stood there on top of the Heimerdinger empowered tower, and kind of just went from like half health to like 3, like not like 3 health. Run away. And that's kind of the scariest portion, because Heimer started out by like extending that fight by running up into what looked like a horrible situation, a horrible position to be in, dropping down the turret and then walking away, and kind of just keeping and zoning off everyone else from being able to join that. That was wild, and we're gonna see more of that if they allow that situation to happen again.
I'm gonna come. It's taunted, but Alawi, of course, Tentacles keeping them alive for a little bit as another shutdown goes on.
Yeah, not ideal in that kind of position there when you're separated. It's kind of like Voltron, right? Or like the Power Rangers. When you bring all the Megazords together, right? Or when you bring all the Zords together and you make the Megazord, right? That's where it's really at its biggest strength. But when you don't, there's a reason why there's cutscenes to like show that the Zords are coming in together for the Megazord. And there's also a reason why most of the time that you see the Zords, they lose, like horribly. Like just awfully, like most of their scenes are literally just them being thrown to the side, and we need the Megazord, right? Like that's what the situation is, like 1-to-1.
Well, if you look at what the Spartans did back when they were an army, right? They set up the phalanx, they would sit behind it and wait for people to go into them, and I think that's exactly what the comp represents when you're looking at the side of Spartan.
But like, you know, Spartans are cool and everything, you know, respect the Leonidas, but like really, like come on, let's talk about the Power Rangers here.
Okay, well, like what color Power Ranger is your favorite then? Like that's the important thing.
Rest in peace, Jason David Frank.
Okay.
Mad respect.
I'm kind of a red one myself.
Oh,
is that bad?
Well,
you don't like Shadow people, you don't like the Red Power Ranger.
It's just basic as this fight
and
starts.
I don't like Sands, doesn't like the Exiled one, forcing out the Chrono Shift. Cannon Beats going in, but kind of by themselves here. And it's not great to go in all alone, as Cannon Beats certainly going to find a death here. But doesn't end. Zio trying to pull down King Kimchin, but King Kimchin showing why they're king. Exile trying to go in the back, almost takes a Flaming Shock, but without the Chrono Shift, not a lot they can do. And the Dragon now getting focused down.
I like Flaming Shocks in
shields. Vi gonna come in, finishes off Flaming Shock, and now it's a 4v3. Dragon down to 4,000 HP. The handshake comes out. Tessen going in, he's doing it the taunt. Zyno kills off Sir Comet. The ultimate goes out, but they go down to FCG. FCG running for their life. King Kimchin taking down Dezen. Of course, Exile takes down FCG. It's a 2v1, but they're against the king himself. And they're gonna have to flee as Alawi goes back for the Dragon. Exile still looking to make something happen here. 4K on that Dragon.
I feel like this is a huge mistake if you go in right now, I'll be honest.
2, 1. He goes in. He gets grabbed. He's going to try to focus down Alawi and not the Dragon. What's that going to be? The Chrono Shift. It gets the Dragon. It gets Alawi. At some point.
That was nasty. You know, take it away from there, by all means. I thought it was the wrong play, and then you dropped that bomb. So that was wild. Oh, man. It was definitely a moment to be had that looked great that then wasn't. I don't know what else I can say. It was as I'm sure Snow would say, it was one of the League of Legends moments that has happened.
That was really that fight, I'm not gonna lie, was very clustered.
It was, yeah, it was all over the place.
If you're I don't like sand, that fight really pulls this game together. Of course, although it seems Spartan Shields have a little bit better with scaling, Inferno Soul can completely throw that out the window.
Oh, it definitely can do some damage. And talking about that fight there, if I want to just like kind of throw back to it real quick, did you see how Graves died on the backside? He died like over by raptors when that fight was happening to the Vi, and it was spam pinging him because like he's back here, he's back there.
What's so interesting too, though, is Lonely Stoner going over the walls. Ideal thinking they're safe behind King Chimchin, flies over. Nah, brother.
Yeah,
this is my game. Get out of here. But speaking of not safe, King Chimchin trying to find a back, but not going to be enough as the kid from Zon, the boy wonder, saying, nah, you go back to your tower. This is my lane now.
Is he actually called the boy wonder? I thought that was Robin.
Oh, definitely not. Definitely not.
Okay? Like, wait, what? Yeah, I was gonna say the boy who shattered time. The boy wonder. Dude,
the boy who shattered
who's Batman?
Shatter the king, and he gets away with it. And I mean, you've heard of David versus Goliath. Lore-wise, that's exactly what that was. But from the context of this game, the peasant has a lot of
In the context of the game, he was Robin against Jack Sparrow.
I mean, he's Robin Spartan Shields blind at this point.
Oh man! All right, what were we getting at here? Because we see that like the Heimerdigger's kind of throwing down some stuff over in the bot lane here. But Baron is definitely being taken away over from the side.
It's down to 4,000.
Yeah,
it looks like it's getting
low,
burned.
and
There's
it's
no
not
contest.
really getting contested. Yeah, I really would like to see where we could end up here after this Baron's taken, because there's a lot of pressure that can be kind of thrown down, and it means that we're going to see another fight. And every time that we've seen a fight, it is it's been dicey. It's been getting slowly more and more dicey. It looked a lot more consistent earlier on from these fights, and I don't know how many times I can say it, and call me a doubter if you will, for I don't like Sans, because I definitely think like I don't think Sans has an angle to win this. The issue is when this game gets to a certain point, and it's been thrown back constantly because the line keeps getting pushed over, right? We've got item spikes that we're kind of waiting on, and we've only got item spike 2 for a lot of the champions over onto the side of the Spartans, and over on I don't like Sand side, we've got approaching 3 a little bit quicker than we have seen from the other side. Because of this.
What I think is
you give me a second, Roman. You give me one goddamn second, because you're gonna get the yell for the next 13 minutes, I swear. Because of this, we're definitely going to see some action happening here for the next team fight that I don't quite know who's going to win. Normally, I would have said that it would be over and over again. I would have said Spartans, and it's already looking like the 1-to-1 matchup here in the side over the Echo is kind of already starting to show the favor back over to Alawi again. And the more items that we start to see pile up, because Alawi just had their 3rd item here, and it's really hard to kind of collapse now. After picking up that Hellbreaker, it's a very, very big power spike for that champion. I want to know how they kind of shore up on this. If a fight happens soon here, which is looking like it, well, Heimer's dead. If a fight happens here,
Heimer is certainly dead.
Yeah, if a fight happens soon here, it's going to have to be backed away from if TP is not up from Alawi. But Alawi needs to stay in the side lane, and if we don't see those conditions met, then I wholeheartedly think that Sand wins these team fights, and it'll probably keep snowballing from there. But if we see the side lane pressure, or even just kind of like hopping off in the mid here, which is kind of what's happening, and then joining up when needed, we will see a fight that is won by Spartans. Maybe here, looking like it might be.
Well, right now, it is a battle over Inferno Drake, but the thing with Alawi being here is she bought Hullbreaker. Hullbreaker is not getting any impact when she's not hunting alone, but she's certainly making a little bit as the boy from Zon tries to go in. You're going to have to Chrono Shift away, and that is Chrono Shift burnt, one of the biggest things in Echo's kit, FCG TPing in. And of course, the Stand and Unite ready to go on Shen. They're trying to take down King Kim. They miss the tentacle, and now a big kill from Zenile.
Wow, that happened so
early. The
early.
ultimate is going down. She is killing everybody on on Spartan Shields, and with the Quadra killing Queen, she takes down the Spartan Shields as the Inferno trigger goes out, and that means Inferno Soul is going to be on the side of I Don't Like Sans. Could this be the first ever loss?
I
for Spartan
need
Shields?
to make a statement here that I had literally forgot was a thing in the game, even though we talked briefly about it last time here. I forgot how much of a power spike IE was when it was a second item.
Oh my god, yeah. Without that...
Because that was like why I was talking about the 3-item power spike. I need to literally go back and rethink on how that statement isn't affected anymore, because the amount of damage that was just thrown out there from that Samira was wild. Okay, I want a reassessment here, and this is my last assessment here. I think that it's 2 ahead. Assessment. It's 2 ahead, and especially onto the Samira. Samira is a wild champion in this crazy game of League of Legends that exists at this point here. And I definitely need to ask how you're supposed to deal with this now. If you're over on Spartan Shield's side, you're looking at this game, and you are very, very much holding out and wondering, how do we beat the Samira? Because as much as we had talked very briefly, I mentioned that because ironically I talked about it a lot. The disengage potential and the ability to like set down a zone to kind of control and just hold down that one area, and kind of designated it as a kill zone. It also is now needed from this team, and this is a tool that they don't have. They need kind of single target lockdown, because of how far ahead this
Speaking of single target lockdown, King Kimchin is locked down in the top lane. The ultimate goes out, but there's 4 members of I Don't Like Sand here, ready to take her down. The cease and desist brought out, the Sun God called upon, and King Kimchin goes down to Lonely Stoner, but they're pushing that mid T2. As we see I Don't Like Sand marching from the top lane to see if they can cut them off. It doesn't look like it's gonna happen. It's a tower for a Lowy trade. But
yeah,
wait a minute,
losing down over on the bot side here, though.
T3 goes down. The inhib certainly to fall next, and Cannon Beats is going
They're all
in
staying.
deep. Flaming Shock gets hit.
There's so much damage on that Echo, by the way. He has Lich Bane.
He's at the back door. Could this be the first loss for Spartan Shields? Tower 1 falls. No one is able to back. No one is able to back Tower 2. About
oh, no.
They stop Kaisa. They stop Kaisa. Echo is hitting. He's about to go down. The back door is in play. Purple mid laner there, but it's too late. Echo is hitting the Nexus. Is it going to go down? Is it go down? The Zhonya's
one auto here.
One auto.
God.
They've done it. I don't like Sands. That's brought Spartan Shields their first loss. Holy shit. What just happened?
Well, I think you just casted what happened, actually. I don't know, did you forget? Like, short-term, like, kind of amnesia kind of stuff?
Honestly, I'm just going to be honest. You're going into a series, right? There is a 6-0 team, undefeated at the top of the league, right? And not just in series, but in games. You see the games going into everything. They were 7-0 going into that game, too. And Spartan Shields just lost. So I Don't Like Sands. That is a monumental upset. Like, and in the fashion it happened too. With the backdoor play, they stopped the backs, and Spartan Shields might have been able to stay together. But when there's one person running through that back door, they stole. They were ahead, but they stole the victory in that fashion. That is insane.
You know, it'd be really funny if you bet all of your channel points on like I Don't Like Sand losing and Spartan Shields winning. That'd be really funny.
Yeah, that'd be crazy. I'm not saying like someone like maybe Decimus might have done something weird like that and just lost all their channel points, but
I'm not calling out names. I don't know why you're calling out. I was just saying like that situation would be really funny.
That
would be really funny. So anyway,
that would be really funny.
It looks like I Don't Like Sand doesn't like me not predicting them, and also I gotta say that as far as it goes, I was surprised by a few things that game. Uh, Primarily just how much damage Samira did. Like if I could take a look here, because I can, let me just pull this up here to see. And in fact, the surprising portion outside of that is just how much damage Echo did. Actually, I did not
Oh my
expect that one.
god.
Echo apparently did more damage than Samira. Maybe we weren't watching the right lane there. But Samira managed to just kind of melt through in most of those later portions of the team fights, and kind of ignored the area that was set down by saying, this is your territory. No, this is my territory. Where you're setting up, you're just giving me stuff right now, right? You're giving me more damage output out of my ultimate. Get out, and by get out I mean die, because that's what happened pretty often in those fights. Um, if we're gonna see anything change over in the draft, I really do need to ask right now, Romeo. I would like to say maybe to take away the Samira, but maybe it's also the Echo, because you have PTSD from getting
Hold on.
backdoored so hard.
There is one thing that needs to go if you're Spartan Shields, and that is the Shen. Shen
Yeah,
saved so
yeah.
many lives that ultimate. What I think is really interesting is both games we've seen the globals come out are both the teams that have won, right? The only thing that we've seen though from Item Like Sand that works too is a strong side lane where they're able to get some splitting in, because that didn't work too well for Spartan Shield. So my question is, are both teams going to commit to this global style of team fights? Or could we potentially see Item Like Sands go for another backdoor by picking a strong split pusher in this next game?
I think that ultimately it's gonna come down to who lore wise has
Oh,
the more strong independent women on it, or the better, stronger independent women on it.
so you're saying Kaisa, Alawi, and Renata aren't proper independent women? Is that what I'm hearing?
They're not as strong as what I'm saying.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I
Alawi
did say
looks
that they
pretty
had the
strong.
very intelligent woman in the jungle, and she did
I
really
thought you were
well.
talking about Heimer for a
And then,
second.
no, no, no. Well, I don't know on that side. But they had the very intelligent woman in the Vi in the jungle. Then they had the amazing Samira, right? I mean, like, and evidently they were able to win it out. And on top of that, they had they just won. Like, I mean, like, what else can I say? Like, it's just evidently that theory is a 1-to-1 representation of what made that game a win for I Don't Like Sand. So I think that, like, if we're gonna talk about what has won, that is exactly what did it.
Yeah, I think you're right, but I think right now we're gonna go to a little break between the next game, and it's gonna be really interesting to see what team not only drafts better, both gameplay wise and lore wise. So stick with us, and in the next couple of minutes we will go into that game 3 draft and see who will take the series once and for all. Will it be the Spartan Shields, or will I Don't Like Sands complete the full upset and take the first series victory over Spartan Shields?
Well, come back to this amazing. What is this? This is the finals, right? Like this is like everything. Everything counts for everything. This is like this counts for everything, right? This is playoff. This is grand finals here, right? No, it's not. It's week 4. Wow, week 4.
It just feels like it, man. It just feels like it.
That backdoor was some wild stuff happening here. Only be able to get this one over on Phoenix Esports with me casting because I don't cast anywhere else. And you know what I can say to you? I can say that we are already going to be seeing some very interesting adaptations.
These fans are rapid.
Yeah, the Samira already being changed over. They're not letting that go through. Samira Vine.
Samira gone.
Nope, not dealing with it. I don't want to see it. Yeah. Zach coming through, though, because of it. Oh, boy.
The Blobby Man, he's here. He's ready to spread some winter cheer, I guess?
Maybe. Yeah, you could have had a stretch for the Christmas cheer and just said he's Santa Claus, but he's late, and everyone's sad that they didn't get their presents. But he's about to deliver them now. And I definitely think there's some potential there. Zach being put on the table, though, allows so much. Actually, so much. The gank potential and how strong that champion is was wild. He actually just got a nerf, but I don't think that really takes away one of his biggest strengths, which is the range of ganks that he can come from, and the inability that you'll be able to see them come from because of the weird angles he goes through. Matched over by the Sedge, though, and a Jinx locked in quickly. I have comments on both of those champions, but I want you to talk about those as this next round of bans are starting. Or next round of picks are being thrown out here.
It's really interesting, right, with the Sejuani Jinx combo being picked up, because honestly, I think if you're going to counter Zac, you lock in like a Mumu or something. But overall, what I do expect to see from the later ends of Spartan Shield's draft is a lot of melee champions being drafted. It's definitely got to be a melee support and a melee mid. Oh, maybe not a melee mid, but definitely a melee support and top laner are going to be drafted for Spartan Shields. I can only imagine that much.
I definitely think there's potential in that. The other side here, too, is that you kind of are able to throw a very aggressive mid out with this Jinx pick here. Zion Rakan actually being picked up. I was asking for this going from game 1 into game 2. I hope that's locked in because that is an amazing combo to go into, especially if you start to see some more aggro being thrown over at bot lane in the same way that it was kind of starting to happen in that last one. I do think that, yeah, Thresh is a solid pickup here with the Jinx, and able to kind of accelerate if you need to do anything. So if I'm looking at the matchups just right off the bat, I already like where we have for both of these teams and how they can kind of set up. It's just what they don't want to see going forward from here. Banning the Galio would be weird again. I will make that comment once more because
I actually don't think the Galio's all that horrible of a ban. I mean, they're still considering it. What I do think is a really good ban, though, is taking away that Echo. They have Echo SD. They're not going to want to deal with him ever again. The Galio ban goes through. I kind of understand it, though. I mean, like, it was oppressive, and you don't really want a Galio Sejuani on you at all times. And, wow, I do find it interesting that they took away the Camille, though.
Yeah, I'm lost on these. It might just be that they don't have any other bans to really go off of, but usually in this circumstance, in this portion of the draft, you want to take away what's going to be strong against you, that you haven't really set up for yet. And ironically, Xayah really is kind of already prepped to deal with a lot of the stuff that deals with Galio.
Oh my god.
Yeah, Cassante getting through in the draft here. I mean, yeah, he did just get nerfed, but he's still a strong top laner.
By the way,
but there's a lot of counters against him that have been found out recently.
Let's just say, shout out to Risen Esports, who just dropped 27 viewers for this Game 3. Thank you so much for the raid, guys. We really appreciate it.
Nice to see that coming through. And you guys are about to see a Game 3 that has been wild. And after we just saw Xpeke actually plays over on the side of I Don't Like Sand, which means that I'm expecting a mid-Nidalee, because that's what he used to play. And then he'll miss every skill shot.
That is crazy that we're seeing the Shen brought out. Cassante, most solo kills in lane. We're seeing how oppressive they were able to be with Shen last game. Probably won't be like that again. However, they have the global ultimate right now, and from what we've seen, the team with more globals wins, and Spartan Shield doesn't have that yet. But, I mean, this last pick, they have Victor. Who do you think they're going to counter this Victor pick with?
There's a lot that can be thrown over here. I don't know the champ pools too well, but if we're going off of what we've currently seen, I still think I don't know, I'll be honest. I was going to say, actually, you know, I was actually going to say Vigar or Ziggs as a random kind of toss-out from there. Ziggs being picked up is definitely an interesting one. He wins, actually, the Victor matchup pretty handedly. And that will kind of allow a lot to happen. There's a lot of area control from a distance that you can kind of have. But there's a Zach in this game. And Zach can easily get onto the Ziggs, especially in the early portions of the game when Ziggs is going to be pushing up so much and harassing the Victor over and over again. We'll likely see, at least we should see, the pressure thrown in from the Zach over to this Ziggs, because that is what will be looking to bridge a lot of these fights together. If we're looking at what is wanted from each team too, it's kind of clear to see what they're attempting to like build together for team fights. In fact, both of these teams are very clear on how they want to approach the team fights and what their goals are. On I Don't Like Sansa's side, it's so much about the absorbing the pressure and then throwing it out, and they also have the tools to really just go out, in the case of the Zac and the Shen, and to kind of like pick for a target. They've got a lot of options. In fact, I really liked I Don't Like Sansa's comp, but now we got to talk about Spartan shields.
Yes, we do.
Give
have
me
to
a
talk about
second here
Spartan
to clarify something, and then Romeo, I'll let you kind of piece together what I'm kind of saying here.
Shield. Go ahead.
Sejuani enables a lot of stuns on the champions over and over again. She survives a lot in fights. Realistically, she just needs to get one. Ziggs does a large metric ton amount of damage either before a fight or within a fight to chunk down really low. Jinx cleans up and gets excited. At its core, the comp from Spartan Shields has the ability to, if they do get the 1 inch, Jinx will take them a mile. And I think that like the way that these teams are set up is actually very, very well to deal with each other. But if any one of the pieces in these breaks, which is awesome for the game 3 between these, if any one of these teams starts to show cracks in what's going to be happening in these team fights, wow, does it swing in the other direction is all I'm going to say. They are balancing a fine line, and it looks like you're drinking a fine wine there, actually.
This is water in a wine glass because I wanted to be educated for this game 3, you know? But, yeah, no, I have to agree with your takes here. I think it is really interesting. It's going to be hard to see who's going to be able to pull away with that early lead. I genuinely think the focus, however, for both these teams will likely be topside early. For the sake of Xayah Rakan isn't a lane that necessarily needs to fight a lot, and Jinx is content with just farming in that early game. However, Sejuani stacks with Cassante. She stacks her E. I think it's called Permafrost, right? Very, very well. And on the other hand, Zac and Shen can lock down a target like there's no tomorrow. So when you're looking for that early game advantage, they might tend to look in the top lane. What is also different about this game is it's a lot less bloody focus in terms of the early game when you have champions like Xayah, Rakan, Victor, Ziggs, Jinx.
Except for Alexander, they got the Zac. Zac can do a lot of damage early on. We do need to acknowledge that.
Well, Zac and Sedge can both do a lot early on. I think that's worth mentioning. And of course, Cassante and Shen are both very good early game champions. But before, we had every lane that had something they wanted to do. Now it's very top jungle to make the plays. And then we'll be seeing mid and bot really come into focus in the mid to late game. Whereas before, we were seeing Samira run wild, Misfortune run wild right out of the gates. It's almost a whole different ballpark going into this game 3.
I think the one area that you're misleading here is Ziggs and Victor. Ziggs should, I'll throw this out there, should do so much damage to that Victor. In fact, if any like early kill happens out, it might actually just because Ziggs is going to harass constantly onto the Victor. So I think that like we need to definitely watch that. And that's the other side here too, because I do think if we're talking about game states and how this should kind of pan out, I don't like Sand
If they get to a later portion of the game,
Yeah.
I do think that they just kind of like win as long as they stay even. Spartan Shields being kind of like the get excited Jinx kind of like ramp up comp. It's about Jinx getting ahead within the fights and kind of ramping up. If Ziggs gets ahead in this game, and it is allowed to happen, Ziggs is the #1 enabler for Jinx to do that in the first place. If you do not respect that is the case, and Spartan Shields decides to throw down the bombs constantly in these fights and get that little bit of the edge out before things start, you're going to find out why everyone hates dealing with artillery mages.
Yeah, that's.
But you're going to figure it out through how Jinx is going to run you over. So...
That certainly is the case. The second she gets excited, almost every team fight is in the favor of Spartan
Yes.
Shields if they don't get someone on her.
Especially because we're dealing with a post 80 carry item rework with Navori and by the way, Navori on Xayah and the IE
insane.
over on Jinx. This is going to be wild. We're going to get to see first-hand experience for what actually is going to edge out in terms of these. Because Xayah might also build the IE, honestly, but I've heard that Navori Xayah is a monster. Like an actual just monster. Like clear your bed, please. Like under your bed, that's Xayah under there.
Yeah, it very well could be this game. And the only thing that I think I don't like Sands does very well that counters what you've been saying about Spartan Shield, right? Is you're saying they get a kill, they're going to pop off. However, there are two champions on I don't like Sands that are extremely hard to kill, that make it hard for anyone to die. First off, you have Zac, who could dive into the peel and has the passive. And second, Stand United saved so many lives last game. I wouldn't be surprised if it's the same case this game, where every time Jinx is about to get excited, you get the Stand United coming out and that massive shield just stopping her from being able to pop off at the starting stages of the fights.
You disagreeing with me, Romeo?
Of course I'm disagreeing with you.
You're saying you think I don't like Sands going to win the game if you do anything but...
That being said,
well then I know where you stand, and you stand with Sand, and you know where I stand. I stand with Spartan Shields because I want to see Spartan Shields win this one.
Well, I gotta root for the underdogs, baby. Yes, but right now we're loading into the game. The spectator limit just ended. We're getting past this load screen, gonna sync up, and we will bring you Game 3. One for I Don't Like Stands, one for Spartan Shields, and only one of them can take this series home. We'll see you in less than a minute. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the Rift. We got here in just under a minute, like I said, and now it is time for Spartan Shields to take on, oh my god, I Don't Like Sand, and right now, it looks like Spartan Shields are going to be looking for an early game invade, try to take that early advantage, and start the snowballing strong.
Oh, and the 5-man going in here, and there's not a Fnatic Death Brush waiting for him. That's a recall!
Xenile flashing away from the hook, and that is a flash already burnt. I'm surprised she stayed in that bush so long. Maybe didn't have the vision, but a Xayah flash early means we'll almost certainly see purple mid laner pathing towards bot side.
You know, I definitely want to see how they're going to deal with the early pressure as well, too. That can be created from Jinx clearing waves and having a roaming Sejuani and Thresh together, because that is another possibility that I actually hadn't considered until we actually kind of just see that popping off in this moment here. It's something that I would consider looking after. But if we are actually going to take a look at what's happening right now, as the red buffs are going to be taken over from, I don't like Sandside here, and we've got blue taken over from Spartan Shields, it's very clear that they do want to path upwards here, and it does mean, of course, that the pressure is going to lie either between throwing over a gank towards the mid lane or towards the top lane, which we're going to see is totally up to where the spectator kind of drags us, as well as where they decide to actually end up. Already seeing damage, though, thrown down over by that Ziggs, if you can see that. Oof.
What is worth mentioning is Zach has elected to take a 5-camp clear, which means he'll be getting to that top lane a little bit quicker than Sejuani, which could be the difference between a winning fight and a losing one.
I definitely agree. I just wonder if there's going to be enough damage output to be had from the Shen, who's already starting to lose a lot, because K'Sante is an impressive machine of a champion.
Of course, like you hear every time he's picked, most solo kills still across every professional league there is. So, it is on Lonely Stoner to make sure that doesn't happen.
Well, okay, well.
Now, of course, this wave state has not changed. We are sitting firmly in the middle with the camera firmly planted on these top two who are trading back and forth. King Kimchin getting a little bit over. That's going to be a big trade. Is he going to find the solo kill onto Desmond here? It's looking good.
Yes.
And there's first blood onto King Kimchin.
You know, it's funny that you mentioned the 5 camps, because now it doesn't matter, but Zach might have the opportunity to throw out a gank here, especially with his
He's looking for the slingshot, but FCG smartly backing up. Knows Zach might be there. I'm not sure if he spotted him on vision, but that's going to be a 1-for-0 trade firmly on the side of Spartan Shields.
I wonder where this is going to leave us now, because last time we had Dozen on the Shen, he had a little bit of a lead, and it kind of allowed him to survive into a more oppressive lane. That's not the case now. And we've got backpedal on 2 lanes, probably at this point here, while Ziggs is just constantly throwing out the bombs, and definitely causing a bit of a problem for this mid lane in the Victor right now. At least in damage-wise, it definitely seems like farm-wise it is kind of evened out. And I mean, I do wonder how much further we'll be able to see everything else go from here.
The thing is, too, it is a double TP lane, which means even with that chunk damage, it takes a back and a TP for Victor to be able to be at a full health bar. And it looks like we're going to be seeing Ziggs back now. Well, Lonely Stoner spotted out on a ward looking for a bot play, but he doesn't know he's been spotted out. Most likely not going to work out for him here. And the Raptors being taken by Purple mid laner, despite his mid lane not being in lane at the moment.
Yeah, and one thing that I was going to say...
Wait a minute, Zach caught in a rock in a hard place. The traps get sent out. He's trying to find a way out. He takes the flash, but he's stunned, and he's gonna go down. The passive activated, but with the passive activated, they're able to get a lot of chunk damage, but Zach's still gonna go down. Jinx is excited. She's ready to pop off. She's running at canopies. The heal brought out. And are they going to get away? It's looking good for them. They're near the tower, and it looks like they do, but that is still a kill in Sejuani's pocket.
Excited, but not enough damage to really do anything with it, sadly. We're still very early on, but I mean, like it. Oh, wait.
Cannon beats flying to the river. He misses the knockup, although it does land a root. However, a stun, Zenial. He's on the death sentence, but no one going to die just yet in this bot lane.
Kind of just tossing peanuts at each other, and they're kind of allergic, you know?
I mean, you'd think if they were allergic to peanuts, someone may have died real quickly there.
Yeah, they got their EpiPen, you know? Rakan's there to save the day. He just kind of tosses on the shield, says, okay, you know, calm down.
Blue to the sky, EpiPen to the thigh?
Yeah, exactly.
Right now, the game is still up in the air. It's favored to Spartan Shields at the moment.
We need to discuss this real quick here while we see that Dezen is getting kind of chunked here by the K'Sante. So we did mention whoever had the more strong independent women over on the side of whatever team, is the one that won the game. And I do remember that you called saying that, you know, I don't like Sand was going to win this game. But I need to disagree with you based on my lore assessment because there's Sejuani and Jinx on this team.
Do you consider Jinx an independent woman?
I consider her a broken soul.
She's a broken soul,
Trying
but
to
last
deal
time
with
I checked, she
wanting to
always
be
relies on
independent.
Vi. She always relies
and
on
very
Vi.
much coming out to discover how they can become independent. In which case, if we're really going back over it as well too, can you say that Xayah is an independent woman? She's got Rakan constantly with her all the time. Okay, literally the lovers duel bot lane. We really want to talk about this.
Xayah wears the pants in that relationship.
I know that she won't wear the pants, but she is not as independent because she literally has the Rakan with her. In this circumstance of the game right now, there is currently
fine. Unlike the dragon that just went over to Spartan Shields.
I wholeheartedly disagree with. Also, she's I can't say the name.
Come on, you can do it.
Shut up.
That means it's even though. Xayah won, Sejuani won. No.
Jinx exists in this game, and she is currently independent from anyone right now.
I don't know. She seems to have a Thresh right next to her.
That's not her friend. That's just someone that's there.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
And, well, Rakan is a friend of Xayah and has gone in and screw the independent women. Jinx has gone down, and Cannon Beats and Xayah are taking this fight. But FCG gonna pull one back, gonna kill Xayah, and Cassandre is going on. The flash of the century. Is it gonna be enough? Doesn't gets back to the safety of his tower and is able to survive the onslaught of Cassandre and Rakan now 1v1 against the independent men going at it here. Under the tower.
You say that, but Sejuani's hovering around. You know, like every man's got a strong woman by their side, and Sejuani's right close by, ready to assist. But wow, taking away all the jokes from here, we can definitely have a discussion about how everything that has unfolded so far has been kind of a wild series of events. And as we do start to see these first items being picked up, it's gonna start getting scary. Very, very scary. Very scary, very scary. Ziggs as well, having a kill too, is not something we've even touched on at all. And also the fact that he's going for El Clasico on the build right now for getting a decent amount of AP while also being able to throw out a ton of spells. Our Artillery Mage's wet dream, to be honest. He's gonna be going for Seraphs. And he's going to be going for Leandries. And both of those items do a lot of damage over time. As well as, well, Leandries literally does damage over time. But once those spikes kind of hit, that is where we're going to start to see actually a lot of these fights being in favor. Over towards Spartans. What we got happening here? What's that
looks like a 3v3. FCG getting engaged on, but is able to flash out of it. None of the CC gonna land, but they're there.
Here comes Cassandre.
Cassandre is here though, the big beefy man, and he's running down Lonely Stoner. Lonely Stoner's trying to run out purple mid laner, getting chunked, but it's Dezen who's gonna get caught, and he's gonna go down. There's a second kill onto Ziggs. Oh, wait a minute. The death sentence brought Undenial, but a knockup from Cannon Beats, and it's war in this bot lane again. They're going after Flaming Chunk. They're getting chunked out, but no kill gonna be found just yet. And both laners on each side chunked about evenly here. And oh my god, Flaming Chunk's almost going down again, but surviving with a quarter of that health bar. Not gonna take the back, though. In a risky position just right now. In the mid lane, though, here comes Lonely Stoner. He lands the root, and will Last Exile be able to find the shutdown on FCG? No! It's taken by Zac, but the shutdown slowed down. Cassandre coming in, though, while they chase down purple mid laner, but Stan United comes out. Dezen there. Dezen gonna get the kill on purple mid laner, and Cassandre's alone to 1v3. He sends the all out under the tower, but Dezen gonna try to walk out. It's gonna be able to make it. He barely does. He's still surviving, and now it's Cassandre in a predicament. He's trying to run down. He can't find any grass, and there he goes. Dezen picking up a second kill. And that's 3 assists on the Victor.
You know, when I said, oh no, it wasn't because a fight was about to happen. It was, oh no, Romeo is not going to have a voice at the end of this, like, 1 minute segment here that's going to happen. Wow. there is no such things as breaks for the For the play-by-play today, I'm going to try to alleviate that a little bit right now by talking about exactly what just happened as we see this Rift Herald being thrown down here that I wanted to talk about a while ago on how it was going to open up the map. And I mean, it's doing that currently at the moment. And if you can ramp that up with Ziggs being able to take the tower faster, it definitely it opens up the map. But after all of that has settled and the nuke that is everything, I mean, including the literal, like, well, not literal, but the nuke that Ziggs can drop within a fight, we do start to see that everything's kind of even. It's looking kind of even. Although I would say that it doesn't feel even for certain champions, especially the one we have on the screen right now, because Cassante has shown that he's a bit of a monster. Almost 1v3'd in that fight if he would have gotten one auto attack off on anyone.
That being said, though, the Tiamat's picked up by Shen. It's going to make surviving under that tower that much easier. And all you're doing as Shen now is surviving under until you can get the Stand United to take a fight. And also, 3 assists on Victor. That means the Death Ray marks are coming up.
And I think we're going to see a fight.
It doesn't look like
I'm
it
curious
has...
on as to where it will be, but I do think that we might see a bit of a dive if possible. We still haven't seen too much of the proactive plays that you can do with this Ziggs bomb into like a dive, and there is definitely some potential to see that, especially as we start to see that level 11 is kind of approaching here for the mid laners. Level 2 in your ultimate at that point is a big deal, especially now hitting out at the same time with picking up the Mythic here over at the side of FCG9. So lots of damage potential increase here. It's just, are we going to see it happen? And are we going to see that team fight? And where is it going to be? Because I want to see it happen soon.
Yes, that team fight was looking to break out a dragon, but ultimately there was a little bit too much pressure from the side of Spartan Shields on it, and that means they have Ocean Drake and Hextech Drake. The Soul has been unlocked onto the map at the moment. Of course, it is the lovely Chem Tank Soul, which everyone knows that might be one of the best souls in Cassante, to be completely honest.
I mean, like, it's anyone who's going to be healing, but Cassante's just really strong right now. And I mean, it's going to start to show once if we start to see these actually picked up. And being 2 dragons ahead, too, while being the ramp-up team. Oh boy, if you're Spartans right now, you're feeling, you're rubbing your hands together, you're getting ready, and you're staring at what's going to happen next. And you're going to say, you know what, we want to fight. Because really, this is the moment that we're actually going to be seeing here where we should be seeing these fights happen. We've got Ziggs very close. I want to say about maybe 2 creeps off of hitting 11 here, but...
Here we go, the slingshot comes in, but he's going to fly away. And here comes Purple mid laner trying to clean it up a little bit, but Stand and Unite comes out and they're going to try to take him down. I don't know if that's the best usage of Stand and Unite, though. They were kind of already out, and now Cassante's going to try to take the top turret. But here comes Flame and Jock and Sir Comment, and in the bot lane, it's a race. What's going to fall first? Is it going to be the T1 bot or T1 top? It's looking in favor of the bot lane, and the bot turret's going to be the first to fall as blue team destroys the first turret, and Cassante inches away from destroying the top turret of I Don't Like Sand.
And even though that is currently the case, we can take a look over here and say that there's got to be another fight happening.
Wait a minute,
and
the slingshot's coming in.
Fight because
Here it goes. Cassante goes all out, but Zac says, get over here! And like Scorpion trying to drag him back, but Cassante a little bit too fast, and he wants you to send someone a little bit more intimidating next time.
Oh boy, what are we gonna see? Because we've got a Zac here who's taking over some vision control in the river in the form of this scuttle crab. But I don't really know how well we're gonna be able to, I guess, bridge together this game from here. It's been kind of bloody, but this is also the least bloody game I feel so far. I'll be honest.
Oh, it's
I was expecting a little bit more. Both teams are a little bit more reserved this game.
But I think that's what makes it interesting. We are piling up. You can feel the tension in the air across this rift as each team is battling inch by inch to try to get the advantage and snowball it into a lead. You can tell just how much both teams want this. Of course, for I Don't Like Sands, it means getting a strong grasp on a playoff spot, whereas for Spartan Shields, it means staying at the top of the table. And right here, Lonely Stoner still protecting that T1 with his life.
Yeah, I definitely would like to see how they're going to kill K'Sante, if I'm being honest. He is getting away with just absorbing a lot of pressure. And in the meanwhile, too, we've kind of just got everyone else in this lull state waiting to kind of like ramp up and get to break points. We are still also waiting to see where we end up for that second item on Zai. I think it's going to be Navori. I'm pretty sure that's the build path for Navori. It definitely looks like that. And then on the second side there, too, if we're going to look over at the Jinx, that one is the one we're also kind of looking at to see, because it is also a Navori versus IE angle here. But where we currently are at with item breakpoints...
It's a slingshot from Zach. He burns the flash. Or is he going to find anything to pull him off? He gets the ward, and Rakan going in. He's rooted, and Comet's going to go down to denial. And that means the Dragon, for the first time this game, is firmly in the grasp of I Don't Like Sans. Can they pick up the first Chemtank Dragon on the map?
You know, I've only now just realized, Romeo, how often you bring up the SpongeBob references.
Wait a minute. You know what? Anyways, let's bounce. We'll get to that in a
Firmly
second.
grasp it.
FCG is manhandling Zach. The Stand United comes out. Shen does appear, and the passive of Zach is going to go out. Rooted. FCG goes down to cannon beats, but it looks like it's a tough time if you're the exiled one, as K'Sante comes out of nowhere and takes him out, and the unkillable Demon King is about to get killed as he goes down. So does Setwani, and doesn't keep Flaming Chuck from ever getting excited, and that is a 3-for-1 trade from I Don't Like Sans, and they're also gonna pick up the Dragon.
They absorbed all the pressure that they needed to within that fight there, and I don't think that you're allowed to fight unless it's a 5v5. That was very clearly shown there, because the way that this fight kind of has, and the way this game has kind of developed at this point, is not gonna go great if you don't at least have...
Oh, God! The Mega Inferno Bomb steals it!
If you don't steal Dragon.
That is soul points for Spartan Shields taken in the blink of an eye!
You know, I can't create any storyline if I wanted to back and forth on this one, because if the minute it starts teetering towards the other side, the other one says no. we're stealing the Dragon with Zigzalt now. And we're now at soul point at 19 minutes.
And I need to ask, right? I need to ask. So Zach didn't die in that fight, but he did elect to back instead of staying for the Dragon. And that is, I mean, if your item like Sans, I mean, I'm not sure if you take it that low without Lonely Stoner being back. Otherwise, things like that happen.
Yeah, and you can definitely see. You can definitely see that that's not pleasant to have to deal with. You're like, yeah, we just won this fight. Now we're back on track. We can take the Dragon. Oh yeah, no, Dragon's stolen by the Ziggs. And with it being on Soul Point now here too, there is so much more pressure on grabbing this next Dragon when it pops up. In 3 minutes, if we don't see a slaughter of a fight, or at least a slaughter of a fight leading up into that Dragon fight, I don't know. Like, I don't know who's playing the game at that point. I feel like that, like, you need to turn your brain off at that point.
The thing is,
it also means that if we see anything start to develop, if there's anything that you can say on either one of these sides here, they also understand that leading into the fight, like, vision control is going to be king. And as it stands right now, where the vision control is for Spartans is currently on the top side of the map in most of their control wards for the territory that they're controlling. And if they are going to be doing anything right now, their only primary focus at this point here, if they're recognizing that the last fight that they fought they did not win, is they need to be looking at securing vision and grabbing picks within that vision area around the Dragon before it even starts. All the control wards starting to be like propped up over into there that need to be, and then looking to just get catches. And as we look at this, if you look at where all this vision is, Vision is wildly spread around over on Spartan's side to have a good amount of control over onto the Baron, which exists right now, and is able for them to pivot over into other areas should they need to. Still Vision over on the backside. TP flank angles are going to be wild for this next fight, because we are at that point in the game.
The thing that's going to make this dragon very, very difficult for I Don't Like Sands is the fact that the circle of influence on their side is so little. 2 T1s are still standing for Spartan's shield, which means to try to walk into that dragon, especially with the vision that you just mentioned, it's just such a challenge on its own. But nevertheless, they have to find a way to take it. Whether that means Zach has to steal it away, because if they lose that Chem Tank Soul, I'm pretty sure King Kimchi will never die again.
I 100% believe that too. And that's the ramping pressure that exists from being on this soul point this early on. Like, we are a minute 20 away from this this very pressing issue, and I'm scared. I'm scared what's happening here, because it's a very scary moment to be either one of these teams, but especially I Don't Like Sand. I Don't Like Sand's gotta be shaking in their boots right now, just trying to just damage control, make sure that they can get this. And
wait a minute, do you see the spike though? Do you see the spike they have right now over Spartan Shields?
Oh, they do. They just picked it up. How far away is Jinx from hers? That's the big question, isn't it?
She's at 330 gold in her inventory.
Wow, she is not close enough.
Not gonna get it before Dragon.
That is actually huge for this fight. It also does mean though that we still need to see where this pick is gonna come off. If they can grab a pick onto the Xayah, game's over. I don't even want to, like, I'll make a bold statement in saying that not even just like this fight, but the game is over. But if Xayah can win throughout this and survive and get through and absorb whatever kind of dive happens here, that will spill into however this fight is going to go. In fact, we might see if Xayah's untouched here, it's just going to be a slow burn and just completely gone here. Waiting on the flank angle though. What you got, Romeo? Because you got to do the play-by-play.
This fight, truthfully, is going to be Ziggs versus Xayah. Whoever goes down first likely loses the fight. Right now, FCG is trying to range them off. They're walking through river, finding a way onto that dragon, and now the battle in the river starts. There's a slingshot angle coming from Zach, but it's going to be too late. They go in, it's in their car. They're bouncing away. XL1 taking out Sir Comet, and there Kim Kimchi is running down the back line. He takes out Kennedy, but he goes down to the Navaris. Zanael gets the kill, and the passive.
Jinx excited soon?
They're able to take down the jungler. Jinx is now excited, and they're running away. Xayah's got no health, and they have no smite. And with no smite, how do you ever steal it? It is down to Dezin and Victor to take the dragon, but they're going to back. They are giving it away, and that means Soul has been claimed by Spartan Shields.
Not quite the dramatic entrance that I was expecting to see in the Xayah dying and completely going over, and it's not all doomed here, per se yet, but it is a massive increase in combat potential that has now been brought over from Soul being had onto the side of the Spartans here. And with Spartans having that one, oh boy, you're sitting pretty right now, but you know you still got to get through the game. And as that is even being said, if we're going to talk about like what could have happened there and the fact that it didn't, Ziggs barely got out any of his poke down leading into that fight. And it only slightly went over onto the side of I Don't Like Sand. I don't know how well that'll go differently if we now see it in this current state where the Cassante is already he's just wilding right now. We've also got Thresh who can Lantern save somebody that is just so much more potential for being able to help out. I am not fully confident in I Don't Like Sands' position of being able to deal with the pressure that is being mounted up against them right now, even if it is only still just under 1k of a gold lead for Spartans.
I think the biggest difference we are going to see in the next fight, though, is Jinx has picked up that IE. She is now pretty close to the same spike on Xayah. However, Xayah's got the last whisper now. And that means Cassante and Sejuani are going to go down a lot quicker.
I want to wonder how this next fight's going to go. Vision setup is definitely coming out here, and you can already see the position set up here for Spartans, and I think there's not going to be too much to contest them because Zach is on the bot
Dezin's
side of the
all
map,
alone.
and they're catching out Dezin.
Dezin's trying to get away, but he's got no legs to stand on. There's so many of them. Wait, Sejuani missed the W, but she's able to throw the ultimate. He's locked in ice, and it doesn't matter. That bounty's gonna get claimed, but it's claimed by Sejuani. They don't give it to the Jinx. They just confirm
no. Catching out, though, onto the Zaya?
FCG.
Maybe? Or at least distracting.
He's gone, which means
grab the Baron.
They're going for the Baron, but that's still a 4v4 until FCG uses TP. If they can engage quick enough, it could spell disaster.
I want to mention a quick thing on this here as a snowball as this fight happens. They put down towers so fast if they win this.
Yeah, but what it looks like the pullout. They're very split. It's 3 and Zach's alone into the back line. He's getting poked down by Jinx and Comet. Cannon Beat has gone down by FCG, and the numbers advantage is too much for them to handle. Zaya trying to get away, but Purple mid lane are not going to go down, and that is horrible for I Don't Like Sands.
And it's also horrible because the snowballing pushing potential. Oh boy. I almost thought this Zaya was just going to die there. The snowballing pushing potential from grabbing this Baron and having a Jinx and a Ziggs. They end games really quick, and at this point here where they're at, I'm pretty sure one lost team fight actually results in a loss if they have Baron up.
But you gotta keep in mind one other thing, Lucan. Look at the timer on that final dragon. They're gonna have Baron when it spawns.
Oh boy, I don't even know if it's gonna last that long, I'll be honest. I wholeheartedly think that they can just start to barrel it down here, and if they get one kill, all they need is one kill, they'll actually be able to end. Like, I know that's a bit of a bold statement, don't get me wrong, but this amount of pushing power, having Baron, as well as having the shields that you need here, and these three champions, the three champions that you see here, why is it always you three? Like, are going to just put on a clinic if they can get the... Oh, man. Look how low he is.
But I think we need to keep in mind, the wave clear of Zaya and Victor is still something that can keep them in. And here comes Zach. Unfortunately for them, the turret goes down, and he's going to have to bounce out of there if he can. He's got no passive, and it looks like Stoner's going to go down because he's all alone in the fight. And now we're closing in. The T3 turret is what's standing, but there's no way they're going to be able to keep it. And that means the inhib's going to be the next to fall. It's a 5v4, and you might have been right about your statement, Lucan. They're choosing to commit to it. Jinx is excited from the turret being taken.
And she is so strong and so independent right now.
Turrets. They're looking for turret 1. They got 2 cannon waves crashing and no way to deal with it. They're trying to poke it down with Victor, but it's not going to be enough. That first turret is almost certainly going to fall.
Another pick.
The hook comes in. The negative Inferno Bomb going to take down Victor, but 2 of them go down. But Jinx is excited. She's running him down. It's just Zaya. It's Zaya against the world here. As 1 turret remains, the turret falls. It's down to the Nexus, and certainly the Spartan shields are going to pick them off one by one and keep their series undefeated streak alive and win this series in a Game 3 bloodbath.
We were quiet the last time. Do you want to do that bit again, or do we want to actually talk again? Because I don't know really what I want to because I did kind of last time I was a back door, but this time it was like.
Well, this time we seen Spartan shield.
We kind of saw it happen. I called it, man. I'm just saying that push after grabbing the Baron was wild. Absolutely wild.
The changing point of this game, truly though, the fights. This game was closer than any of them. First game, stomped by Spartan Shield. Second game, I Don't Like Sands found the advantage and the back door. But this game, in terms of fighting, it was almost even the entire way through. The main reason the Spartan Shields won was because they were able to take so many neutral objectives uncontested, and also, that back from Lonely Stoner hurt so much more knowing they lost the fight at Seoul.
It definitely had to. Oh man, there are just so many things to say about the game, but I mean, at the end of the day, the biggest thing that I would say about it was just, it was a banger. The entire series. played very well. There was definitely some issues in terms of the way that rotations were handled, and I think I don't like saying if I can say anything about them is that they're definitely a good team. It's just vision and rotations were kind of their own enemies, really. If they were to have fixed up those kind of things going forward, they can definitely throw a wrench in any other team's plans. And I would love to see more of this team going from what they grabbed here, especially from their picks. Like,
And you know,
um,
you want to know what was an absolute heart-wrenching moment for them, though?
what is that?
When they were at Baron in the 4v5, you knew, you called it. Spartan Shields had the high ground, but like Anakin, they still jumped in, and they still got burnt in the end.
And they did too because Ziggs actually had Leandri's, so was able to like actually do the burn down onto him. I guess in this situation it would be Shen because he's got like the full mask and he's kind of dressed all clad in purple. It's close enough, right?
Do you think, though, after being burned, Anakin becomes Darth Vader? Spartan Shields pulled one back. They showed how strong they could be as a team against a top contender. They just got burnt pretty badly in this third game, both at Dragon and at Baron. Do you think that going forward in PXE, though, they're going to be the Darth Vader of this league?
So if what you mean by they're going to be Darth Vader by that they have like a sun team, right? Like that they take and they have a sun team that they had with their dead sister team. Wait, no, that's wait.
What
What
are
am I?
you? What are
So if
you
they have like a
going
sun
on
team and they
about?
name it Luke, right? And then they
Oh,
they
God.
have that team
Oh,
turn into like the
God.
power team, then that team is the chosen one. Which I mean, like, is still an accolade, right? Like that means you're a good parent at that point if you did that. It's just like who does that team consist of? That would be my question.
I was more going on that Anakin got so much stronger once he was burnt by Obi, but I mean, like I see what you're getting at. It could work, but I think that's more of a
I'm putting a
season 3
twist
PXE
on
thing.
it. I will never not put a twist on it, Romeo.
Wasn't Anakin still the chosen one though? At the end of the day,
No, apparently it
or
was
is that a theory
Leia.
for another day?
It was Leia, so it would be like Luke pops up, and then like whatever the team comes from like Luke's team, and then it would be the sister team of that one. That was actually the
I
next
don't
step
like
that I was.
I don't like Luke and sister team being in the same sentence after that that one movie. That's all I'm gonna say.
I definitely think that there's what I'm saying is there's room for improvement. Have children and then give them the League of Legends team, and then they'll take on the legacy and they'll do good, but one will do better than the other.
Okay. So we just need to wait for.
I love how
don't
we're
like
talking
fans to
about
have
not
kids.
even the team that won here, and we're like Spartans is the one that
Well,
won. We're talking
truthfully-
about the Anakin references here. Let's talk about the Phalanx Power Rangers movement here. Let's go
Let-
up and
There is something to point out about this series, right? With Spartan Shields losing that one game, they're no longer tied for that top spot. They are firmly in third, which means the rivals of Neverlucky and Final Bastion are the two teams that aren't just undefeated in series, but undefeated in game records overall. Which is really interesting if this lasts the next 4 weeks, where in week 8, we'll see them go against each other. If they're able to hold on to the undefeated streaks there, that means we'll have an undefeated showdown. But still, Spartan Shields have to take them both on. And with the way they played against I Don't Like Sands, either I Don't Like Sands is a team that's to be reckoned with, or Spartan Shields has to find a way to climb back into the top 3.
I think there's definitely a lot of value in that, though, too. Just if we actually can see them pull ahead here, like I said, like there's a lot of potential. As much as I was joking around about them having kids, and I mean, like if you want to have kids, by all means, like you can have the team and like a bunch of younglings, right? But I mean, that's also kind of contradictory to how you want to handle that as well, too, because I don't think you handle younglings too well if you're Darth Vader. But if they are going to do really good on I Don't Like Sand's team, then I think that we might actually be able to. See them come back swinging in this next series. If you take everything that you can learn from this series here, you fix up the rotation problems, you fix up the vision problems, you don't pick Cassidon first because that's an awful thing to do, I think you're great. I think you have a lot of potential going forward. So draft, vision, rotations. Those are 3 easy things to kind of go over with your coach or whoever's going to be handling it. And then from there, you come back and you just start just beating those kids. And that's really what you need to do. You need to beat the kids because the kids right now are on top, and the Spartans are a bunch of children that have been raised in order to do that, just that. And you got beat by them this time. You know what? They were raised for victory and to just win, and they did it. They did it, and they beat the competition. You might not like sand, but they didn't like you. So as far as it goes, I'm going to congratulate Spartan Shields for a job well played on there. And I had a really big question to say across the entire board here of anyone who had played in those games. It's actually really difficult for me to determine who was the MVP on the side of Spartans here for this series. Because honestly, there's like a good front runner in like this 2 solo lanes, and then as well even over in the AD carry for the bot lane. I definitely think that like it's a hard one for me to pin down.
I think if you're looking for the ace, it's very simple to say it's the exiled one, especially with the backdoor. But on the side of Spartan Shields, it's definitely difficult to say. Like on one hand, you want to give it to King Kimchin, but the performance in game 2, he overextended a bit.
Yeah.
FCG was very consistent throughout the same 3 games, and Flame and Shock was masterful in that game 1. It's a really
I think it's literally down to those two for me too. I wanted to say Cassante for this game, but it's like, come on, he's playing Cassante. Like he's gonna do well. Like,
also,
he got everything handed to him. It was a silver platter. He was like, hey, you like Cassante? You can play Cassante. They're not even gonna ban him. And then it's like, hey, you like Chemtech Soul? Chemtech Soul's really good, isn't it? And you're playing Cassante. You gotta have those two there. I mean, like, great for him on that side, and he did excellent in the way that he played the champion. Piloting champion was fantastic, but going over onto FGC and Flamin' Shot, man, that is so hard to call down. Honestly, if I were to call, I would have to like put it like even for both of them because they really were the ones who set up a lot of this stuff for their team and were able to really just punch through after everything was kind of like tossed them. They worked together great as a team, but man, that was some amazing cleanup and some amazing piloting from both of them. If I were really gonna have to put it up between the two of them, though, it's Flamin' Shock.
You'd give it to Flamin' Shock. I'd give it to FCG. The way he piloted Galio game 1 with Ziggs. I mean, wait. There's a way we can break this. Hear me out.
We have them fight. We bring them into the interview and we have them fight each other.
I mean, if they're down for that,
I want them to fight.
I was gonna say chat poll, but
I mean, like
you
we could
want
do that
a little
too.
bit more blood. I'm down for either. I'm down for some blood. I got a chat word down. I think that might be them. Pull them in. Let's have them fight in the interview. Yep. Let's do this. Bring them in right now.
We'll introduce them. We'll introduce them in each corner, right, as they come in.
Okay, I got FCG. You get Flamin' Shock.
Okay. And in the right corner, coming in, playing out the MF and the Jinx, as well as the other champion that I forgot because there wasn't quite as much to say about the game that was lost. We've got Flamin' Shock!
And in the red corner, the man who piloted Galio and Ziggs and the other champion, I think it was Heimer, the reigning, defending mid lane champion of the world! FCG! Fight!
He has a 9 in his name.
The 9 doesn't matter. The 9's because he's a 9-time MVP, brother.
Oh man. This will be great for them to like just be like hi.
Hello.
What's up?
You guys are free. You guys
go for it.
I think the big MVP was none of the solo laners. I gotta give it to support and jungle, especially the Thresh. Huge peels. We couldn't do anything without him, honestly. I think we trolled other than the Thresh hooks preventing Zach from getting on. Me, the Vi, the other junglers, it really helped, especially our jungle. He secured a lot of objectives. I don't think we can give it to the solo lanes. We just did our jobs.
I secured an objective.
That's true. We did get a Ziggs ult for the third Drake. That definitely slowed us down. I mean, sped us up, not slowed us down.
Yeah.
So can we have like the non-humble response here of like I want blood.
I shit on everyone game 1.
Yo!
Dusty did lose his points game 2, and game 3 it just came down to objective control, which we do really good at.
I think we have to go back to the Ziggs steal though. The thing is, they had to play so aggressive in that soul point fight, right? Where it almost looked well for them, but it didn't in the end. And I don't think that ever happens if the Mega Inferno Bomb doesn't steal that Chem Tank Dragon. I think it's still anyone's game until that point. But that steal was, holy crap, we went wild.
Yeah,
I'm
I
just
saw that
wondering
from a
why the
mile away.
jungler was dead, man. Like, if the jungler wasn't dead, then I mean, like, honestly, like, I mean,
Yeah.
they didn't have to steal, right? That's some...
Wasn't Zach alive and just backed, or am I crazy?
No, he was dead.
He was dead.
Yeah, he died.
He was dead.
I TP Mega Inferno Bomb. Easy clap.
Easy clap. I do want to ask, though, game 2. What do you think is it that went wrong in that game?
Our draft was horrid.
So, Coach Stiff?
We're our own coaches.
Okay,
Oh,
so I want to
okay.
talk about the Heimer game because I actually think that you guys were like all right, but you needed like dive, like you needed like something like after they went in
Yeah.
on you,
Yeah.
you needed to be able to go back in, and I feel like if you did that, like it would have been fine. But like the minute you didn't have that and Samira started popping off, like even just not even like dive, just like single target like lockdown. I called it in the game. I'm like, I don't know. when I realized that Samira can pick up second item IE and she literally just melts anyone she like looks at, that
Yeah,
was
that was
yeah,
unfortunate.
that was very
Yeah.
unfortunate.
I think second game, their draft is much easier to play. They press all 4 buttons, and then we just have to scream run and try to get out. They still played it well. They had some really good Shenars. They had some good, Vi surprised us a few times. The Samira, Leona was still pretty good lockdown.
You guys
I think
you guys got caught out a lot. You guys did.
Yeah,
on the water rotations.
yeah, that was-
our top laner
Well,
realized it,
I think-
but
Yeah. Honestly, I think after game 1, I think hopefully fastest game of the week, 22-13.
I
22-13.
think it is to be
a
honest.
little-
If you don't
little
count, like, the
disrespectful.
Misfits thing. I think it is.
Can I
Yeah.
ask you guys why you guys are Spartans? Have you guys? Please tell me you guys have played Pantheon at least once this season.
What?
no.
This is
So
Spartan
we're
shots.
we're a college team, and our college mascot is the Spartans.
What college?
That
you guys?
doesn't change the fact that I want you
Shields.
guys to play Pantheon.
Wait. What
I'll
college
play
are you guys
Pantheon.
from?
Let's go. There we go. That's all it took.
Casters uninformed. I want him to do his research
God!
before interviewing us.
Johnny's not
Hey!
here.
Hey!
Who'd you hire?
Oh my god.
Wow!
Listen, I was casting.
I ain't even hired. I popped in here because I wanted to be
here.
here.
Listen, I agree.
Listen,
to
I don't need to
literally
be here if you
yesterday.
don't want me.
Flame enemy team, more like flame casters.
Oh my god. You know what? None of you get MVP. Lucan gets the MVP.
When's the caster versus team fight going on? Actually, you know what? Let's bring it in.
MVP's going to Lucan.
Show match. Bring the event.
But
Casters, we get Yanni in the ADC. Lucan, what role do you play? Lucan, what role?
We're on the mid lane.
I'll
Lucan,
just
I will stop. If you want to play Ziggs, I'll stomp your Ziggs. I know how to take care of that champion left, right, and center.
I picked Ziggs for a reason. I don't just pick him. for no reason.
I know. I was literally calling up like it completely destroys the Victor too.
Yeah.
It was. I'm like,
Victor feels
oh, yeah. Victor
He was
did not have
crying.
a fun game.
He
I was gonna
crying,
say, yeah.
Like, level
You
5, he was like 1 HP, no pots.
Which is funny because you bought the tier. So
Yeah,
yeah.
he did too.
Yeah, he just did in real life though.
Sadly, yeah.
That being said, in a couple weeks, you guys are going to be going up against. I believe you guys take on Never Lucky Gaming before you take on Final Bastion.
I think we
So
have
you guys are
few more
firmly in the
weeks.
top 3.
I
Yeah,
think,
it is
yo,
few
we
more.
have
I think it's week 8.
I think
Yeah,
CSU,
8,
then
9.
Misfits, then
CB.
CB. So yeah, we don't have. It's a while.
It's I believe it's about 4 weeks from now, right?
Yep.
So, do you? 2 questions. First off, do you guys think you'll be able to hold the top 3 position until then? And do you guys have any strategies you've been working out to go against those top 2 teams, trying to find yourself in number 1 in the league?
I think end of the week it'll just be an exam diff. If we have a lot of exams that week, I think we just get diffed by stress and other things. I think that honestly might be what it comes down to. Other than that, I think when we're peak, I think we might be unstoppable. We have a lot of practice and scrims and other things where we just take over games with our objective control. I believe when we're in form, we just can't win.
We're not coping
Maybe-
early. You're coping, Desi.
Maybe.
Oh God, there!
He's a hater. He's a hater. He'll see when we go against his team.
Oh!
He voted
Jesse,
for
you
you
just
guys,
got
by the way.
called
He
out.
voted in favor of you guys. Just
He-
I'm gonna let you
he-
know that
he
he
went,
lost
uh,
like 4,000 channel
He
points.
went all in on
He
channel
went
points.
all in on game
lost.
2 for you guys.
It was
deserves
so
the
worth
L.
the loss.
He deserves
So
the L.
worth.
By the way, Desi, just so you know, I was one of the only 2 people who went I don't like Sans. I have all your points, buddy.
50 points per
bucks,
loose
Wanting
ammo.
it over
An
him.
L.
Like...
Mm.
Oh man.
All
Okay.
Jesse,
I want
let's put college tuition on it.
Oh my god!
That might be a mid-match,
Community
actually.
college, right? Community college, right? Like...
We go to Case
No, it's a
Western. It's a bit
It's a
pricey.
private school.
It's a bit pricey.
Oh, look at these kids in the no wonder they're playing six. They're private school kids. My God.
What does that mean? What does that mean?
Why are we getting roasted now? We're the guests. We're the guests.
That's why they
What's
picked the
happening?
Hummer, because they're way
Yeah,
smarter.
I started
than all
out
of us.
roasting you guys. I'll be honest.
Big thing, Harry.
Anyways, what I will say though is, as much as you guys say it's going to be like an exam diff, right? Like maybe it's an exam diff in your favor, right? Like maybe it's like when you got to do something, but you're like holding in a poop, right? And like it's just like you really want to go for a shit, but like you're about to like get to that point, and then you're like I really got to do this. And you do it really well, and then after, right? You have that clarity post, and it's just it works out, right? You just win.
Not sure I follow.
Anyways, this was a wonderful 3-game series. Thank you guys all for coming out. Once again, shout out to Risen for the raid. Shout out to I Don't Like Sand and the Spartan Shields for a hell of a 3-game series. Of course, thank you so much, Zion and Last Exiled. Wait, whoa. Wait. Flame and Chuck and FCG, I'm so sorry.
What's up?
Oh my god, I need to get fired. Anyways, thank you guys so much for popping in for the interview. Shout out to them for picking up the win and remaining a top 3 team in this league. Going forward, these next few weeks to come are going to be very interesting, especially as we approach the second half of the series or season. Every game counts. Thank you so much for being here with us. Of course, shout out to MVP Lucan for killing it on the cast. And shout out to Snow, of course, our producer for the evening, who did an amazing job as always. And yeah, mwah.